I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting of trustees for Monday, February 4th. Let the record reflect it is 6:45. Our village attorney's running a little late, but we're going to get started without him. If you can call the roll.
Trustee Muhammad?
Here.
Trustee Stubbs?
Here.
Trustee House?
Here.
Trustee Denton?
Present.
Trustee Pearson?
Present.
Trustee Henry?
Present.
All members of the board are here. If you stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would remain standing, I ask that Trustee Denton lead us in prayer tonight.
Our Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us gather at this place. Please let us do the business that's needed for this village to keep it on track. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. The next thing on the agenda is general announcements.
Yes. May I be recognized, Mayor,
Did you have any?
for general announcements?
Okay, go ahead, Trustee.
Yes. I received a card, and many of you probably be receiving literature in your mail, in your door or whatever, and I received a red card here with some political literature about calling a 1-800 number. And I want to remind everyone here, the residents of Dalton, those who are in this audience, and those of you who are at home, you pay for that 911 service on your tax bill. You pay it on your cable bill, you're paying it on your phone bill. I got this card, and like I said, it came with some political literature, so it's political. I called the toll-free number just to see what it was about, and it was an answering service. You call the Village of Dalton 911, you get the police. The police will tell you, and we have the deputy chief here, he'll tell you that much of the crime that is solved in most communities is the residents getting involved by you calling 911. Now, many of you do not call 911 because you feel, well, it's not confidential. They're asking me for my name and my phone number. You don't have to get that information up. Is that correct, Chief Mobley? You don't have to give your name when you're calling 911? Yes, you can remain anonymous. So I called this card. I said, what is this? He said, well, it's an answering service. Well, I said, well, I have a name on here with this answering service. Let me speak to the person that left this card at my door. The person was not available, and they said they would take a message, and in taking the message, what's the first thing they asked me for? My name, my phone number, my address. I said, well, your information says confidential. Well, sir, if you don't want to leave the information, it's quite okay. I said, well, thank you. So when I got this, I made sure that I would bring it to the public, because a lot of you will be getting, or you have already gotten, it's a red, black, and white card. And again, we pay for the service of 911. The police department also has a task force. We recently had an incident where a young man was shot. I don't know what his outcome was, but it was over there, I think, near Woodlawn. And with the police department, they have the county to help them. They have a task force to help them. So I'm saying this to say that we have a 911 service here already. It's very efficient. You can call it at any time, and we have a non-emergency number also. I think Trustee Pearson may know that by heart, because when I was discussing this with him, because we're both on that committee, he's the chair and I'm the member of the Police and Fire Committee, he may know that non-emergency number. But I wanted to bring this to the public as a public service announcement. We have 911, and we also have a local number for non-emergencies. And that's my general announcement. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, could I be recognized?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to get that number. That number is 708-841-2533. And we have a chief that, in my opinion, is the greatest chief we've had in Dalton. I've been a resident for 34 years, and I don't feel we've ever had a chief like Chief Collins. And we have a good deputy chief in Mobley. So you can call the Dalton Police Department. It's not like it used to be. There was times that people just didn't feel comfortable. But with these two guys at the helm, you can call this number. Again, it's 708-841-2533. That's non-emergency, and you can call and say, hey, Chief, I got some information. I want to stay anonymous in this, and they'll take that information. That red card is political, and I spoke about it last week, at the last meeting, because to me, somebody might make a mistake and think they're calling that number for help. And while you dial that number, you're not going to get help. You're going to get what Trustee Muhammad just said he got, instead of get the police. So if you need the police, it is 911. If you want to talk about something, you call this number, and you'll get somebody that will take anonymously your call and take that information down. But again, like I said at the last meeting, call 911 if you need help. And if you want to just say, I saw this. They say, if you see something, say something. If you want to call and say, hey, I saw this, but don't use my name, you can do that. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Next thing on the agenda is Village Clerk report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the January 7, 2019 regular board meeting. If I may have a motion to approve.
Get a motion to approve the...
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve the minutes of January 7th, 2019.
Discussion.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Henyard?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is communications.
One item, Mr. Mayor, just to remind everyone that in January and February, because of the holidays that fall on a Monday, the next regular village board, yes, it is the next regular village board meeting that would be ordinarily 14 days from tonight will be on the 22nd. Of February due to the Presidential Day holiday. The Village Hall will be closed on Monday, February 21st, and the board will convene at the usual time on Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. On the 22nd.
Okay. Engineers report.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Madam Clerk, Trustees, resident Village of Dalton. My engineer's report has been emailed to everyone. Did you just hit me with that? And they also put a hard copy on your podium. Just one item. Back in June of 2018, the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District sent out a letter throughout the south suburbs for municipalities to partner with them for a green infrastructure grant. Working along with Matt Stacy and then Chief of Staff Elizabeth Scott, there had been some extensive flooding in the Cornell area. What we did was put a grant application together, submit to MWRD for funding for stormwater relief. I am proud to say that the Water Reclamation District has awarded assistance to the Village of Dalton in the tune of $250,000 to help assist with flooding in the Cornell area. An intergovernmental agreement would have to be passed and approved by the board. We will be drafting that intergovernmental agreement. We'll submit that to the board and also the attorney for review before placing that on the agenda. And that's all I have for this evening. And I'll entertain any questions we have right now.
When is that grant application? I think it needs to be in by March 31st.
The intergovernmental agreement?
No, the application.
The application, it's already been submitted.
Okay.
It's just the intergovernmental agreement needs to be reviewed and approved by the Board of Trustees.
But the application I sent to you today from MWRD.
Oh, that's something else, Mayor.
Okay.
I haven't divulged into that yet, but
All right.
I will get into that and provide any comments I have about that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Committee reports, Human Services, Trustee Mohammed.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll read the report from Ms. Barbara Batten, but on everyone's desk, you also have in your packet some information that I secured with the Kasperick Group, but I'll read off the report from Ms. Batten, but you should have it. The first page states, I spoke to the village's locust representative, but I'll get to that after I give my report. And, basically like a public service announcement as well. This is the monthly summer report for the payment center for the month of January 2019. The total water collection was $571,997.93, and other collections were $286,605.91. The grand total of collections was $858,603.84. The dollar amount of water bills that are 120 days or more past due is $2,132,515.80. That's a decrease from last month of $211,813.28. Now, I read those numbers off every month, but what I like to do is give an example, and I know there was a little controversy at our last board meeting, but I'll try to remove as much controversy as possible. I have here my personal latest water bill. The billing date was 10/30/18. That's October 30th, 18, and it was due on November 19th. And I have not paid it yet, so my bill is past due. My bill was due on the 19th with a total amount of $361.84. I never received any notice saying you're behind on your bill, you need to come up, pay your bill, you're going to be on a shut-off notice. Technically speaking, I am on the shut-off notice. There's a list, and Mr. Stacy can verify if that's correct, but I was informed if your bill is $300 or more and you're past that limit, then you are on what they call the shut-off or turn-off list. Okay. Not an issue for me. My concern was this. Anytime you receive a bill, especially if you're receiving your bills every quarter, which is every 3 months, and sometimes you just forget. I didn't forget to pay this bill. I purposely didn't pay it because I wanted to see what the village had in place to prompt the person to pay their bill, because my next bill will be coming probably in another month, and my bill will be another maybe $300-something, or normally it's $180-something, but I think I know why my bill was increased, and some of you may have had the same instance. My bill generally runs between $160, $180. It was $355. The reason why I think it's that high, because back in July, my water heater was broken. For anybody who's had a water heater that goes out on them, what's the first thing it does? Anybody had one? It does what? It leaks. So it's leaking, and hot water just going down the drain. I procrastinated with it. I happened to see a water meter read. I said, when my bill comes, it's not going to be big, is it? Because I just got a hot water heater problem. So yeah, your bill's going to increase significantly because that's hot water just running out. And sure enough, this is the bill that reflects that. So I feel that's what it is. So I'm saying all this to say what? I got with this Kasperick Group, which is the accounting firm that we just hired to look after our dollars. So what I would like to do, and the reason why I gave it to everyone, I'd like the mayor to also chime in. We have a letter that goes out to the residents when your bill is 30 days past due. Again, I told you when my bill was due, I never received a bill. So what that department would have to do is manually go through the system to find out who is late on their payment and then send a letter. So this letter, I won't read through it, but everybody here has it. It has the old letter that you would normally get, and I say normally get, but I never received it to this date. And I checked my mail today before I came to this meeting. And, of course, the old letter with the new language. So I'm going to forward this to the mayor and maybe the clerk, but according to the locust people and the Kasperick Group, the village can customize a letter to go out to the residents to let them know that their bill is due. That's why, or one of the reasons that when I read this off today, that we have over $2 million out there that belongs to the village of Dalton. And it may be persons like me. I might be on that list of $2 million because I haven't paid mine yet since, what was it, October? Since November 19th, mine was past due. So we would hope that, Mayor, if you could have maybe the supervisor, manager, or department head to go over this, because this was just not me. I had the Consperic group to go over this with me. If you see on one of the pages, it tells you what the billing date is, what the due date is, how many days after that, and maybe we can come up with a letter that can go out to the residents, because oftentimes you just forget. And if you forget, your next bill is for 6 months, and of course, it naturally doubles. So I wanted to enter that into the record. The clerk has this also, and hopefully this is followed up, and maybe on the next meeting, we can see what the progress has been done to have an internal letter that would go out to the residents of Dalton on late water bill payments so that our monies owed to the village does not rocket over $2 million, which it hovers about every single month for as long back as I can remember. And that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Well, there's a number of issues in our water management system here. If you recall, and you probably don't recall, Trustee Mohammed, because you weren't on the board at that time, when I first came into office, I wanted to change the water billing to every month. Because basically what happens is the residents get billed 4 times a year. So that means that the village collects the money 4 times a year. And if every quarter we have $3 million outstanding, and if those bills are not paid, just like you said, there's $2 million outstanding now, that means we go into the next quarter with $2 million outstanding. If those bills aren't paid, you're looking at $5 million that's outstanding. So if we went to a monthly water billing system, and at the time when I suggested it, they said it would cost too much because of the software. It is costing us not to do it. For example, if you got a $300 water bill on a quarterly basis, that means you're averaging $100 a month. If you don't pay the $300, that means that you probably won't pay the $600. But if we would get monthly water billing, that means that you get a bill for $100. And the village can collect their money on a more timely basis. So if you go into the second month and you don't pay the $100, that means you're only outstanding $200, and the village is probably outstanding maybe $1 million instead of $2 to $3 million. So I would suggest that we take a look at going into the monthly water billing, because we do it for industrials and businesses. That way, we're not the bank and we're not financing the outstanding bills. Now, we can't go 3 months without paying the city of Chicago, which is who we buy our water from. So if we get billed on a monthly basis from the city of Chicago, and we don't collect our money until every 3 months, and if we don't collect the full balances that are out there, that means that we're behind every time we pay the city of Chicago. So, who's over the water committee or whatever, however you got these committees set up?
I am. Mayor, okay. May I be recognized?
As soon as I finish. Now, Mohammed, you suggest, you always suggest, well, the mayor should do this, the mayor should do that. And when I try to do things, it's overruled, or sustained, I should say. And so I would suggest who's ever over the water department or water committee to put whatever you want in writing, whether it's a notice that needs to go out on a timely basis, to get together and put the letter together and bring it before the board and have them approve it so that it can go out. Go ahead, Trustee Stubbs.
I'd like to be recognized after her, Mayor, please.
I just wanted to state that I have been in favor for a monthly billing ever since I've been up here, and before then. Chicago once had, and some of them still are, every 3 months, but they also have once a month billing in Chicago also. And first of all, we have to correct what's out there with the water bill. Maybe we can do it by each zone, do a zone at a time for a monthly water bill, because it's easier for a person to pay, like you stated, that $100 as opposed to that $300. And maybe you want to take a look into it for doing it with the software and do it one zone at a time. Ease into it. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
If you do it one zone at a time, you're still one of those zones or 3 of those zones we have. What do we have? 3 zones?
Yes.
Okay. that means the 2 zones is still not going to be billed on a monthly basis. However you go into it, it has to, everything has to go at the same time to put it all on monthly. Go ahead, Trustee Muhammad.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Yes, that's the question I asked the Kingsbury Group, and one of the partners actually deals with a larger municipality than ours, and they've gone monthly. In order for us to go monthly, the infrastructure has to be changed. Right now, we don't even know the accuracy of many bills, and we had, like I said, a controversy here a couple weeks ago. I'll give you an example. We cannot give an accurate list to a collection agency to collect monies that's due, because in some of the name portion it says resident. So there's a scrubbing of the list of approximately 9,000 households that you got to go through methodically. Once you've done that, you have to have what we call accurate readings. That means that there has to be something in place so that when they read the meter, and I believe everybody, if I ask you to raise your hand, will tell me you have a smart meter. Once that smart meter was installed, they were able to tell you your consumption of electricity in comparison to your neighbors, in comparison to your vector. Right now, I agree with you, Mayor, 100% that we would have to go monthly. But in order to go monthly, there's some infrastructural things that have to be changed, which I understand and I agree with. But in the meantime, there are some things that we can do, and if you like, we will compose the letter. I just suggested that maybe if you have a department head to do it, that's fine. We can do it under our committee. We'll put a letter together and we'll present it to the board with any input that you may have. But yes, I agree that we should go monthly, but you got to have accurate readings in order to go monthly. And that's my report.
In order to get accurate readings, we got to have the correct number of water meter readers. Also, if we're going to go monthly, we've been talking about this, we got to get started. We're way behind. But it's a quicker way for the village to collect their money and a quicker way for us to pay the city of Chicago what we owe on a timely basis. Okay, next thing on the, are you done?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Planning, Trustee Henry.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hey, thank you guys for coming out this evening. Housing report, January 1st through January 30th. Okay, goes as follows. 44 property tax transfers, 69 transfer tax, 6 sale inspections, 21 as is, 9 quick claims, 10 judicials, 1 trust deed, 2 tax deeds, 1 deed in lieu, 33 rental licenses, 37 rental inspections, 34 vacant property permit, 19 tenant water deposits, 26 escrow deposits, 14 escrow release inspections, 19 escrow refunds, 22 grass board up invoices, 46 housing tickets processed. The total was processed was 412. The total revenue collected was $81,530.50. And then, Mayor, I got some on the agenda, which is first by the block program. So can I just explain that when we get to letter A?
Why don't we just explain that under discussion?
Right now?
No, I mean.
On the A, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, end of report.
Okay. Next thing is Department Operations, Trustee Stubbs.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you out here. The productivity report was prepared by Public Works Manager Matt Stacy. Public Works has installed, checked, and repaired 20 street lights and 11 street lights and 11 street signs. Public Works have cut down 2 dead trees. Public Works have repaired 15 B boxes, 2 water service leaks, and 6 water main breaks. Public Works has checked, cleaned, and repaired 12 sewers. Public Works has been out repairing potholes throughout mapped area. Public Works has worked on shut-offs for delinquent properties. We have successfully shut off 80 properties. We found 34 properties that are dig jobs. 16 properties have made payment arrangements with the water department. We also have had 3 emergency shut-offs. Public Works mechanics performed 7 jobs to the housing department vehicles and 22 jobs to the Public Works vehicles and plow trucks, along with the miscellaneous jobs that have come into the shop. This is just a reminder. Please put your garbage out the night before your garbage pickup day, along with any debris you may have. Also, if you see water coming from the ground, please call our dispatch center with an accurate address at 708-201-3240. Again, that number is 708-201-3240. And I just would like to ask Mr. Stacy, have we had any luck on that piece of property that we spoke about?
Yeah, that one we went over there, and the meter readers were able to get in and get a meter reading, I guess, and the water's off over there. So I don't know who's given what information, but they said the water's off. And you can verify, Brian Thigpen was there too.
The water, you don't have any idea how long the water have been off, anything of that nature? Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
As part of that committee, quick question, since we have you, what is the status of the Melanie Fitness? We got an email today concerning water pipes, or could you update us on where we at with that?
That was being done by someone else. It's already.
Can someone, whoever
Done?
knows, inform the board and the public on the status of Melanie Fitness pipe burst?
Yes,
Whoever knows.
all the pipes have been replaced, and it's back up and running. Melanie Fitness was shut down for 2 hours a day because of 2 pipes that had burst.
Thank you.
Okay. Next thing, police and fire, Trustee Pearson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, residents. From Chief Collins, during the month of January 2019, the police department responded to 1,934 calls for service. In addition to responding to calls, they wrote 158 traffic violations, 365 parking violations, 50 criminal arrests, and 8 warrants. Project Connect Community Policing Meeting. The January Community Policing Meeting was canceled due to weather. The next scheduled meeting will be February 28th, if weather permits. The meeting will be held at the Village Hall at 7 p.m. On the Dalton Police mobile app, the Dalton Police mobile app can be downloaded on Android phones and iPhones. Important information is pushed out via the app. Encourage your neighbors to download the app. You can use the app to report safety issues and also to help police solve crimes. And with that app, you can report crimes anonymously, and that will go straight to the police department. Calling police. If you believe there's a situation in which you think the police might be needed, it is always better to call right away so the police can arrive that much sooner. Avoid asking someone to call for you. The third-party caller probably won't have as much information as you, and also precious time is wasted by delaying the call. Call 911 and ask to remain anonymous if you don't want to give your name. Hiring process status report. Applicants for part-time officers have been coming in. The deadline to have the application packet into the police department is February 8th by 5 o'clock p.m. Some applicants have not followed the packet instructions and have turned in applications without all the required documentation. Incomplete packets will not be moved forward for consideration, so make sure your packets are correct. And from Chief Dyer, he reports from January 1st, 2019 to January 31st, 2019. Motor vehicle accidents, fires, 19. Emergency medical services, 253. Hazardous conditions, 15. Fire service calls, 28. Fire alarm detector activations is 37. Severe weather and natural disasters, 0. technical rescues 1, for a total incidence of 382. And I want to thank Chief Rush for working on the place to go if you need a warming center. And he put together some places, the Melanie Fitness Center, and worked with the Park District, and he worked with Lincoln School, was it, Chief? Yes, Lincoln School. And is that an overnight place? Overnight. So if you know anybody that needs to go somewhere and warm up, you have those places, Melanie Fitness, the Park District, and at nighttime, and that's during the day. At nighttime, it is Lincoln School. He got them to give some space over there. And with that, Mayor, that's all I have.
Mayor,
Chief, is Melanie closed during the day? I mean, is it closed for a warming center right now? Or is it open back up?
Well, that was only during that operational period, 25 January.
Microphone.
That was only for the operational period,
Oh, that was only for those,
January 25th to the end of the month.
okay,
So we're watching the weather again in case we have to reactivate.
okay. Thank you for that correction, Chief.
I got a question. So the Women's Center was closed during the 2 coldest days.
It was closed.
Okay, that's my issue.
We had an alternate of Bud's Ambulance Company in their classroom, and then an alternate to that was the Dorchester.
Okay. Well, my issue with that, just so everybody understand, is we've been promoting and pushing the Melanie Fitness that people can go there. I actually had a couple go to that area and the building was closed. Thank God they did have my cell phone number to go elsewhere, and I did email the board to make them aware of that. So when we promote something as a women's center, we need to open it. It should not be closed.
Well, Chief Rush, what was the reason it was closed? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
He was surprised it was
I was
closed.
surprised it was
Okay.
closed myself.
I would
Thank you.
probably think it was personnel issue, but we should have been notified that it was going to be closed. And the alternatives were put out when?
The very next, the next
day?
morning, the very next morning, which would have been Thursday.
So it was one day closed?
One day.
One day, not 2.
Right.
All right.
Does anybody know who closed it?
Must have been the management, whoever was there. We'll find it.
Don't make decisions like that to close a women's center, Mayor.
If there was no personnel there, I don't have the key.
I even
And
sent
you-
an email asking why was it closed, and no one responded, meaning this board up here. So I figured you would know why it's closed. Only you give
No, we did
authority to
respond,
close
the
a
board.
building like that. Seriously, only you give authority for that. None of us do
Who
that.
gives authority for that?
You to close the women's center. I asked. I sent the email out.
You know, you blame me for everything.
I'm not blaming you
but
for
some of the
everything,
things I'm
Mayor. I'm
responsible
asking.
for, you don't
Mayor,
give me
you
the
did not
power to do
respond
it.
to that email.
Yeah.
I asked because people came to that location and could not get in. That's a problem, Mayor.
Well, the fire chief put a notice out there was alternative places. So you didn't get that email?
Mayor, I
didn't
took
get
care.
that email?
No. Don't worry about it. I took care. I used my own resources to
Okay,
make sure
then what
the
are you
people was
talking
okay.
about?
But what I'm saying is that it shouldn't have been closed. If we've been promoting it as a village,
Okay.
it should have been open. That's my point.
You're probably right. So whoever closed it, we'll find out who closed it.
I didn't know people can make their own decisions in the village that work for us. They work for the people. They normally
We
have
have
to go
department
through
heads
the
in
proper
place.
channels to
We
close.
have department heads in place that make decisions on a daily
I'm
basis.
pretty sure he didn't
Okay.
make that decision on his own without authority from
Well,
somebody up
we'll
here.
find out tomorrow.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I didn't give them direction to close it. And it has been a problem with personnel there because we don't have enough personnel where the Melody Fitness Center has been closed when they should have been open on regular hours. And you're aware that there's been emails flying back and forth that we need to hire somebody else there to keep the hours that the Melody Fitness Center should be open.
And Mayor, who does the hiring? You do. So stop it.
Hey, I do. That's only if you approve who I hire. Remember you changed that ordinance?
Mayor, you didn't pick anyone. Still, housing
It always
inspector is
falls
needed.
back on the mayor, but when the
Housing-
mayor
and I need
does
to get
something,
that.
you fight me on
Housing
it.
inspector is needed. We still don't have that. We've been approved that. Been
Yeah.
over 2 weeks,
Okay.
and you still have not hired anyone.
Okay.
We're
Where are the
currently losing
applications?
revenue. Hold on.
Where are the
We're
applications?
currently losing revenue
Okay.
because we don't have an inspector to go inspect
That's
the
not
property.
true.
Mayor,
That
could I be
is true.
recognized,
That's
sir?
not true. No, we're going to move on. We're not going to go back and forth to this.
I didn't want to
All right.
move. I did not want to go back and forth,
Okay.
Mayor.
Finance,
That's
go
the
ahead,
problem.
Trustee
You always
Muhammad.
cut people off.
Trustee Muhammad?
I yield some of my time to Trustee Pearson.
Yeah. We'll yield it after you give your committee report. Go ahead.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Trustee Muhammad. Give your
I
report. Let's
yield
move
my
on.
time to Trustee Pearson.
all I wanted to say is that we should contact the department head and find out what happened and make a recommendation to him that he contact the mayor's office instead of making that decision himself.
What did I just say? We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay? Unless you want to call them at home right
No,
now.
I was really just trying to stop that back and forth. That's all I was trying
That's
to do.
exactly what I said. We're not going
Thank
to
you.
go back and forth. Go ahead, Trustee Muhammad.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, on our finance report, there was some confusion last month, and mainly because of weather, inclement weather, but we did have our finance committee meeting on Friday, February 1st, and I'll give some overview of that. With some accolades to the police department. The overtime for the police department is less than 66% of budget through December. The new procedures implemented by the police department appear to be working because overtime compared to last year has decreased by $110,000. Now, someone may be asking in finance, why even talk about overtime? The two largest departments in any municipality is the police and fire. And much of the revenue comes from paying in overtime. Some overtime cannot be avoided, whether it be with police or fire. But some of the things that Chief Collins and his deputy chief have put into place have cut that overtime where it's lower than it was last year this time by $110,000. Now, the overtime for the fire department is over the 66% of budget through December. The new procedures implemented by the fire department don't appear to be working as effectively as those implemented in the police department. In comparison to the prior year, the fire department overtime is $50,000 higher this year than it was last year. With the addition of 3 new firefighters approved at our January meeting, overtime should decrease, so we'll monitor that. And one other small point, maintenance supplies and services appear over budget in many departments. That may be something the village should review more closely. And in closing on the finance report, Madam Clerk, did you receive the 3 monthly financial reports from the Kisperic Group?
Yes, Trustee, I did today from Ms. Blanco from Kasperic Group, and I will forward them to Mr. Steve, who again is responsible for posting on the website.
Thank you very much. The reason why I asked the clerk that and publicly, because we have the monthly report. For those of you who would like to get a report, there's one at the desk. But for those of you at home, I believe the last report is published, but as the clerk just stated publicly, the last 3 financial reports will be available on the website in a PDF form. So if you need to print them out or just read them, but it's there for you to peruse on our website. And for those of you here, we do have a few copies there at the front desk. I won't bore us with the finance report, because when you talk about finance, our eyes tend to glaze, but I'll hit on one thing in particular that I think everybody should know about, and it's called the debt service. The debt service that the Village of Dalton pays every year is approximately $6 million. I've had some residents stop me and say, Trustee, I was in the subway. Trustees talk about debt service. What does that mean? Think of debt service as interest that you pay on a loan, the principal and interest you pay back on a loan. And I'll give you the numbers that comes out to almost $6 million a year that we're paying every year. And I'll give it to you in comparison to other municipalities. That means based upon the bonds that are borrowed, we have to pay back not only the bond, which is the principal, but also interest. For example, this is a schedule of the village's debt service or debt that we're paying on a yearly basis. On TAWs, which is a tax anticipation warrant, on one of them is $855,555 yearly. On a 2004 series principal and interest, it's $511,564. We have a 2009 series principal and interest at $2,965,043. On the Homewood disposal, we owe on a yearly basis, $1,331,689.50 for a total of $5,663,852.30. What is the purpose of bringing that out? Because with bleeding, you got to stop the bleeding, meaning that when we do more bonds, there'll be more interest and principal stacked on top of the principal and interest that we're paying. So approximately $6 million a year that we're paying in bonds, compared to, let's say, South Holland, who pays about $1 million a year. What does that mean? If we were only paying $2 million a year servicing our debt, that other $4 or $3 million can be used to improve roads, secure employment, improve the downtown area, improve sidewalks, and that's money that we're paying out on a yearly basis like clockwork every year. Now, that's just an overview, but again, you can get the financial report online. I think the latest one is up. I think the December one is up, but as the clerk just mentioned, she's going to forward all three of them to our webmaster, and they'll be posted. That's it for my finance report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Murphy, will you chime in on this debt service issue?
The vast majority of the debt service relates to bond issues the village issued back in 2004. And Dwayne, what was the other year?
2004, 2009, and the current, which was Homewood Disposal at 1.3.
Yeah, Homewood Disposal is because the village board hasn't been paying Homewood Disposal, so they have to borrow the money to pay Homewood. The 2004 and 2009 bond issues were incurred in those years, and it set forth the debt service for all of the years, for the 20 years of the respective bond issues. So that is debt that the village has been saddled with back in 2004 and 2009. A big part of that debt was because of the Dorchester, as I recall, in excess of $20 million that the village borrowed back then in the mid-2000s for the Dorchester project. So those are annual payments based on borrowing decisions the village board made 10 and 15 years ago that we are all saddled with now.
And I appreciate that the mayor had you chime in, and I agree with you 100% because you can't argue math, but once there's bloodletting, you got to stop it at some time. And we've been saddled with this debt, and we can't continue to put debt on top of debt, and I agree with you. The numbers are there. They go back from 04, 09, but again, and we're saddled with it. That's a good term that you use, attorney. I can't argue that, but we can't keep on bloodletting. We can't keep on getting debt on top of debt, and I agree with you.
The service debt on $2 million, which we borrowed to pay our garbage bill, would have been much less than $1 million. You use South Holland as an example, but when you come into office, that debt was incurred way before I came into office. When you come into office and you're trying to correct what has happened back in 2004 and back in 2009, it takes time. And you're absolutely right in regards to we need to watch how we do our spending. But in some cases, you have to spend money to make money or stay alive. We can't go, and as one trustee said in the past, don't let them pick our garbage up. All you got to do is go online and see what happened to East St. Louis. See what happened in Brooklyn when they didn't pick the garbage up. We had the leverage. Don't let them pick the garbage. Don't pay them. When you owe somebody, you don't have the leverage. They got the leverage. And then when you try to look for another service, if it was garbage service, there's not that many garbage services out here. They know what each other does. And we say, okay, fine, we're not going to pay them. We're going to go to somebody else. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Okay. So one of the main things that we have to do is make sure our garbage is picked up. And so we had to do a bond to pay them so we can continue to have garbage service.
Okay, Mayor, can I be recognized, please?
Let's not belabor this, please.
I'm still on the finance report. Since you chose to have the attorney chime in, this is not a back and forth, Mayor. This is part of our presentation.
Do your report.
Okay, part of my report.
Do your report.
Sir, part of my report is to retort to what you just said. Nobody's talking about not picking up garbage. Nobody's talking about Homewood. We're stating the numbers that's owed. It is a fact that we paid $5,663,852.30
for a previous administration's debt.
Can I finish my report? We don't want to have a back and forth. I just want to state the numbers. If you would quit interrupting me, I will, sir. All I'm stating in my finance report, and for those who are at home and for those of you here, just read the report. If you're not clear on the report, our next finance meeting is every fourth Wednesday of the month. We'll go over the warrant lists. We'll go over the audit. We'll go over all of these line items that you may have some confusion about, because there's confusion being bantied about now about persons saying not picking up the garbage. Has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. We're just talking about the debt service that we're paying and that we're facing a $2.5 million deficit. I was on the phone today with the Caspera Group to let them know that they have to do this budget for 2019-2020. We're facing a $2.5 million deficit. What does that mean? That we got to find $2.5 million to meet the expenses of this village. And in order to do that, there are two things that must happen. Reduce expenditures and increase what? Revenue. It's as simple as that. I don't want anybody to be confused with somebody talking about a trustee talking about not picking up garbage. We got to reduce our expenditures and come up with ways of revenue. And that's the end of my report, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Madam Clerk stated earlier about the holiday. She gave...
I got it wrong. I'm old enough, apparently, to think of President's Day on February 22nd. It is not. 14 days from today, of course, is the 18th. That is President's Day. The village board meeting will be the next day on the 19th at the usual time of 6:30. My apologies.
Instead of the 22nd.
Instead of the old day, old day on the 22nd.
Right. Okay, thank you. Next thing on the agenda, special events, Trustee Henry.
All right, thank you. Mine's real brief, though. People tend to forget about our first responders. During that cold season, I took the initiative to basically make sure I didn't forget about you guys, which is the police department, fire department, and water department. No matter what, cold, rain, snow, sleet, they always show up for us. I put a count together at Dunkin' Donuts, and I gave them hot coffee, tea, whatever they wanted to get, and I had a balance left from day 2. I did for 2 days, and I wanted to give this balance to the police department. So can you stand up to all my department heads? Matt, Deputy Mobley, Deputy Rush, please, can you stand up? Can y'all give it up for our first responders? They don't never get appreciated. Right, and this is for you guys in the police department. Deputy, I know you guys like coffee. Can you come and get this gift card? It has a balance of $75 left on it, so use it at your discretion. Thank you.
I want chocolate glaze. All right, you done, Trustee?
Yes,
All
yes,
right,
thank you.
Good. Next thing is corporate bills.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the corporate payments of register number 136 of $585,237.69 with a gross payroll of $348,398. Melanie Fitness Centers, register 136 at $2,388.49 with a gross payroll of $1,600.50 with a total corporate payments of $937,624.68. Can I get a second?
Second.
It's a motion and second to pay the corporate bills as stated. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I sent out information to the department heads, Public Works, Fire and Police, and I just want to go over some of these bills, and I don't want to blindside you, Chief Mobley. You may not know about this, but the public and the board should know. We got a bill from
Is it 136?
Sibley Animals for housing animals of $9,000. And according to my understanding from the chief of police, that was bills going back to about June or July of last year that were sitting in the police department. And Mr. Thigpen, I don't think he's here tonight, he discovered they were there, so he immediately forwarded them to the finance department. I reached out to Mr. Thigpen, and I said, even with bills going back to June, July, why is our bill so high in dealing with these animals, such as stray dogs? And again, we got a public service announcement. Chief Mobley, did Chief Collins inform you of this at all? I don't want to ask you on nothing on this if you're not aware.
No, I wasn't made aware
disregard
of it,
that for that. So my understanding with Mr. Thigpen, and these for those of you who are dog owners, one of the reasons why our bills are so high with the animal control people, which is the Sibley Veterinary Hospital. And then there's also another one called the Animal Something Society, Sibley Veterinary Hospital. I'm not sure the proper name. But one of the reasons that we don't chip our animals, so that when the dog is strayed and they go to scan his neck or back, if there's no chip in there, then naturally the dog is housed for, I think, about 10 days. If nobody secures the animal in 10 days, then he's taken off somewhere else. That's number one. Number two, when persons do secure their dogs, they wind up paying all types of fines because the animal has not been neutered, the animal doesn't have a chip, the animal's not registered with the Village of Dalton. I was hoping Mr. Thigpen would come, and maybe we'll have him come at the next one to really educate the public, because he educated me on what we could do to reduce that bill. As a matter of fact, he's been working with Chief Collins and doing a comprehensive program so we can reduce the monies that we're paying in catching these stray animals. But it's more than just stray dogs, just so everybody knows. Sometimes it's raccoons and other vermin that people have found in their homes. There were some other cost-saving things that I asked the department heads to look into. I didn't get a response from Public Works, so maybe Mr. Stacy, you can answer me publicly on some of those things I asked for, savings that you may have been able to look over. Were you able to find anything that we can do some savings on in your particular department?
I didn't get no email from you, sir, and the one that I did get, it said disregard to me, Brian, the chief, and the fire chief.
Yeah, well, I'll take the weight. That was a mistake on me, but I sent it to all the department heads. And what I said in disregarding, in other words, everybody you got the attorney bills, you got the dog catcher bills. Yours was primarily for equipment that was being ordered and maintenance on vehicles. But I'll waive that for now, and I'll save it for the next meeting because some of those individuals aren't here. So that's the end of my discussion on paying the corporate bills.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, next thing on the agenda.
Got to take a vote.
Go ahead, take the vote.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Henry?
Aye.
6 ayes, motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is old business. Item A, approval of the block-by-block program. Trustee Henry.
Thank you. Okay. I know you guys are here to hear about the Block by Block program. Basically, this came up October 1st of last year for a approval vote. Myself, Trustee Denton, Trustee House, and the Mayor broke tie, basically advocated for this program to initiate. Currently now, the attorney stated that I needed another vote to approve, I guess, the information that I have on the flyer, which I've been advertising for the last 2 months. My issue with that is now it is time for you guys, meaning the residents, to benefit from this and receive a property that we have to go out of, and it takes 2 months. The properties won't be available until the first week in April. Now he stated I need a vote. So it's on the agenda for this board to consider voting to give the properties back to the community. Block by Block is for free and dollar houses, which was geared towards the investors, and then the other program was $5,000 houses, which was geared towards the homeowner, owner occupied. Now, don't get me wrong, you guys. I always go Facebook Live. I promoted it throughout the community. You guys are anxious. Y'all want to buy houses. Y'all saving y'all money. You guys get income tax time refund checks. You save that. You guys call me, text me your bank account, say, Tiff, I got $7 grand. Tiff, I got $5 grand, which I'm excited for you as well. But I want this board to basically continue to support this program and let it move forward. I don't want them to stall it, press pause or anything like that. If anything they feel we need to critique or change or do, we can do that. We will have committee meetings throughout the month of February, and we could have committee meetings in March to change anything they felt was wrong with the program. Overall, they did have plenty of time to chime in, change something if they wanted to. A lot of them did, which is some shocking, that didn't vote for it. So I hope that I will get this board support in moving this block by block program forward.
Trustee, okay, is there a motion that we're going to discuss it?
I would like to
Mayor,
make
could
a
I be
motion
recognized?
to approve the block by block housing program.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned to approve the block-by-block program by Trustee Hendrick. Any discussion?
Yes, I think that we should table it to committee because most of this stuff was one person decided most of what's on the paper. And I think that we really should sit down in a committee meeting and discuss it. So I'd like to make a motion to table this to the Housing Committee where we all can talk about it.
One person did not make this up. Everyone did chime in. I announced that in several different board meetings. You guys had the opportunity to also chime in to change whatever you wanted on the paper, put whatever you wanted into law. So I don't understand all of a sudden it's time for the residents to benefit from it and y'all want to pause. I don't think that's right. Any other program before this board, y'all pushed it through. So I think that we should do the same with this one, and if it's something you feel we need to change, we still have time. No property is available now. So you still have time to change this law. So why are we pressing pause?
I'd like to second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion.
Motion to table
Okay,
to a committee.
Just remember this, residents.
We got a first and a second to table it. There'll be no further discussion. Can we get a roll call?
On the motion to table, Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs.
Aye.
Trustee House.
No.
Trustee Denton.
No.
Trustee Pearson.
Aye.
Trustee Henyard.
No.
3-3, Mayor.
I show you this email I got from Trustee Henyard.
Why you gotta air our dirty laundry?
That's what I'm talking about.
Mayor, we fight in the
That's what
back.
I'm
We gonna
talking
fight,
about.
then we gonna come out
I'm
here, we
talking
gonna get
about
along. That's what we do.
When you come at me like this,
Here we go.
I'm just saying. You say you want to
got
work.
nothing to do with the vote.
You say you
Go
want to
ahead.
work with me, but this ain't working with me when you send me them nasty emails.
Don't get in between me and the
Okay.
attorney when I'm putting them in check.
Okay.
Thank you.
Make a clarification. What it is? What are we doing?
You have to vote on tabling it,
Okay, I want to table it.
so that's aye.
Okay. That's aye.
So you voted to table, Mayor?
I voted to table if the, council want to take another look at it. But and one of the reasons I'm going to tell you, and there's no further discussion on this.
No discussion on the table.
Right.
Attorney?
Okay.
The vote's already been taken, so you can talk.
Yeah. Okay. The vote's already been taken. So,
How many people came here for this
No
program?
discussion on the
Raise
table.
the hands.
the
Look at that.
clerk-
That's y'all community. That's what y'all just voted down, right there,
right.
the table.
Well, trustee, if there's 3 of the trustees here.
You broke tie. You had the opportunity to let it be on the floor and let the residents speak.
Discuss on the-
Trustee.
Come on, Attorney Murphy, clerk, please take charge of the meeting. Robert's rules. Come on.
One of the reasons was because the vote last time was a RFP. And secondly,
Everybody is out here late. This is why we're here late all night.
Well, yeah, we're here all night because you want to talk all night.
We're table. The motion is tabled.
Fine.
Robert's rules. There's
Okay.
no discussion
Right.
on
Okay.
the
Thank you.
motion.
Thank you. The reason I did it was because there was an RFP out there, and they voted on the RFP. And secondly, this board, some of this board, the majority of this board had given approval to give BP Capital approval to take over 400 houses. So now we need to discuss and find a way to get some of those houses back from BP Capital, which you don't get anything for, and you have to, because all those what they were voted on to give to BP Capital was 400 some odd houses. I'm just concerned about where we're going to get the additional stock if we don't turn over the agreement that was given to BP Capital. So anyway, I'm for the residents taking advantage of housing and things like that. I'm for the village receiving money on some of those houses that we have control over. And we haven't done that, so that's why I voted to table it.
But Mayor, if
and
you was
whether-
for, you would have let us discuss.
Well, I tried to talk to you about this through emails and through the emails that were sent to the attorney, and you weren't very cooperative on these
Mayor,
emails.
no, you did not.
So, okay,
Do you
all
want me
right.
to read the email into
Okay.
record?
All right.
That's not what we was discussing.
Okay, all right, it's tabled. Next thing on the agenda is update on the zoning hearing of proposal to cap the number of beauty supply stores in the village of Dalton. Trustee Henry.
Okay, for the zoning and hearing proposal, you guys, I had some business owner come before me, and they wanted to put a cap on the number of beauty supply stores in the community. Currently now we have 4. I do think that's enough. I think that's enough for us ladies to buy our hair from. I think that we need to entertain this. Last board meeting, once again, the entire board, agreed to basically start the zoning and hearing process. Currently now, Attorney Murphy, I'm looking for direction to doing so. You told me we had to post it 15 to 30 days out, and next board meeting will be March 4th, that it will come before this body to take a vote. Is that correct?
I sent the board a draft of the notice because this involves changing our zoning ordinance. Right now, under our zoning ordinance, this particular use is a permitted retail use. What's being proposed is, in essence, is to regulate supply and demand as to this one particular business. To do that, the village has to amend the zoning ordinance. To amend the zoning ordinance, you have to schedule a public hearing. The public hearing has to be scheduled, it has to have a newspaper notice not less than 15 or more than 30 days before the hearing. I prepared the public notice. Everybody has that?
Yes.
And if the board wants to go ahead with the public hearing on this proposal, my suggestion is that we do it in conjunction with the March 4 meeting, because we'll be able to get the ad in the paper and on the village's webpage within the 15:30 requirement. So any objection to that? And let me mention one other thing. Our zoning ordinance calls for a body called the Zoning Board of Appeals to conduct the public hearing. Well, we don't really have that anymore. So the village board can serve as the hearing body, and we can do all this in the course of a meeting. So if there's no objection, we'll publish for March 4.
Agreed.
I agree. Just a quick question on that publication. Is it the same publication like when we do the hearing for the levy, the finance?
The truth and taxation thing?
Yes. Same full-page Tribune?
No. The truth and taxation hearings, that big, huge one, it's a quarter page. It's like I always say, it's like the owner of the company dies.
It's a $2,000 ad. I just saw the
this is just normal classified ad, like you would see on a foreclosure notice or any legal things. We'll take care of that, but then we put it on the village webpage.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I agree.
So no formal vote. We'll just go ahead and the clerk's office.
And just to clarify, the bill came from Tribune Publishing, but the notice is actually published in the Daily Southtown.
Yeah, that's a big note for an ad.
Truth and taxation requires, by statute, a certain amount of space, as opposed to the notice for a public hearing that we see every year with the budget, which is considerably less.
Understood.
Okay. So there's no vote needed on this,
No,
right?
we'll just go ahead. Mary Kay, you'll talk.
All right. Next thing on the agenda is item C, update on the hearing re businesses selling illegal cigarettes. Trustee Muhammad.
Yes, thank you for recognizing me, Mayor. I put this on the agenda again, and hopefully I can read off this time without being cut off the letter from the attorney who is present, and he can even speak better for himself, in a correspondence to us on January 22nd, his recommendation. Under Old Business B, he says, attached, please find a draft of the charges, which everyone should have in their email. He said, I need staff to fill in a couple of blanks, which is what we're asking, Mayor. That means you and staff to fill in a couple of blanks for him. And we should be able to file charges, meaning we should be able to file charges against Food Stations, Inc., located at 1421 East Sibley, by the end of this week, which was the board meeting of the 22nd. I would like to know today, with the attorney present, and I'm sure he can represent you, what date are we going to fill in so that we can have this hearing, so that that particular vendor who is selling illegal cigarettes can have their day in court, and so we can look for revocation of their license or suspension of their license. I'd like to know what dates can we do for that. Attorney Murphy, you can chime in for that, or the mayor.
Yes, sir. We've filled in all the blanks. The notice is ready to go out. The mayor has it. I've lost a couple days because last week my secretary wasn't in 2 out of the 5 days because of the weather. But the blanks have been filled in. The charges are ready to be filed. But I have to ask, is this the same marathon station that's the subject matter of item A on new business?
No. That's being removed.
Ah, okay. So that's the status.
Okay, well, my question is, based upon your notice of charges and hearing that you say they've been filled in, I would like to know, for public information for myself and the residents, what is the date and time to consider whether the business license of Food Station, Inc., doing business at Marathon Gas Station located at 1421 East Sibley, should be suspended or revoked on the basis of that which is therein of this charges of hearing. What are those dates so we can know it publicly?
Hasn't been set yet. As soon as we set it, we'll let the board know.
Well, you just said the mayor filled in the blanks.
No. I said I filled in the blank on the charges. He hasn't sent it out yet, and it hasn't set a date.
Okay, so that means that when will we know the date of this hearing? Because that's been for the last 3 board meetings. When will we know the date of this hearing?
We'll certainly let you know this week for the date that's been noticed for.
Mayor, could I be recognized for a minute, sir?
Go ahead.
I'd just like to know, why is it so hard for us to set a date? I just don't understand. We have a business that is operating illegally in our community and depriving us of our tax dollars and the county, and it just seems like you could set a date right now.
Well, I used to get things done a little faster till y'all cut my staff out. And so there's a number of things that I'm addressing now that used to be addressed by the people in my office. I don't have those people anymore. And just as urgent as you think this is, we also have a lot of urgent matters that come forth. So as the village attorney explained to you that we will get to a date, I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to be the hearing officer or not. I have the choice of being a hearing officer. I can select somebody else to be the hearing officer. But I know in the past, there's been some trustees here that said I had affiliation with that station. Why am I not doing it? So I may put an objective hearing officer in place rather than me, so you won't think that I'm playing any bias or having any favoritism towards that location.
But Mayor, wasn't they cited in July of last year?
Last year.
Trustee, if
Yes,
you
sir.
look at the ordinance, it said within a calendar year, they are subjected to have a hearing on suspension or revocation. Now, they were cited last year, but who handles that? Hello?
I thought it was Brian Thickpen.
Okay, then, nothing was forwarded to my office between now and then.
Not true.
It was.
Okay, we're not going to go back and forth on this. Next thing on the agenda.
No, we're still on this, sir.
No, we're not.
We're not finished
No,
with
we're
the
not.
item,
No,
Mayor.
we're not.
I have a point of information
Okay.
for you and the attorney.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
The attorney discussed it.
can I please have
And
my
you're
point
not
of
gonna get a
information?
date tonight. I don't care what you say here tonight. You're not going to get a date tonight. I'm still looking over the charges that the attorney prepared, and I'm actually going to go out and get a hearing officer to listen to this case.
Okay, so Mayor, you're not allowing me to speak again on this, on that which I put up on the agenda? You're not allowing me to speak?
Go ahead, Trustee.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the trustee asked you, why can't we get a date? And this is going on since July of last year, that they were closed. Matter of fact, they were closed a day or two. And I immediately reached out to all department heads, yourself and the attorney, and again, I was told they must have their day in court. You responded to Trustee Pearson that because you don't have staff, because of the persons that were in your office are no longer there, they have nothing to do with you setting a date for a hearing of this place selling illegal cigarettes. I just want to go, let me finish, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I just want to go on record that those individuals that you have, whoever you may be thinking in your mind, have nothing to do with you setting a date that you are the hearing officer, or like you said, you appointing someone else to be a hearing officer. These persons have been in violation since July of last year. They were closed down for a day or so, and they are selling illegal cigarettes as we speak. And the date should be set soon, Mayor, because you've had this on your desk since July. We followed up with Mr. Thigpen. Mr. Thigpen made sure he forwarded that information to Attorney Murphy.
Are you done?
Yes, sir.
Next thing on the agenda is resolution number 19R-001.
Attorney Adams.
Supporting a proposed Class 8 classification for the certain property at the Village of Dalton at 1421 East Sibley, the Marathon Gas Station.
Let me do that.
Trustee Muhammad.
Okay, I'd like to remove, under new business, item A. Mr. Adams, what we will do, we'll combine B and C, and if you can inform the board and the residents what you're trying to do with resolution number 19R-002 with the property, that's the property 733 East 142nd Street is the young man that was killed. I believe it was Firoz's nephew, and he just had a recent tragedy where his son and his brother-in-law just got killed on between Indiana and Chicago Road on Sibley. He couldn't be here. But that's that location, that small, I believe it's a Clark station?
Yes, Trustee Muhammad.
Okay.
By the way, I'm not an attorney. I'm just
Okay.
I work at Sandrick Law Firm. But
you can represent.
Yes. Late today, we were contacted by Feroz, their family, and he's the spokesman for the family, who is his brother, who currently owns the gas station. As you're fully aware, his nephew was killed at that station, and his brother really wants to get rid of the station, and they do have a prospective buyer. Unfortunately, the buyer is requesting a Class 8, but as part of that, the next resolution, they would like to expand. As you're fully aware, this Clark station is a very small footprint. In order to be able to make raise revenues at this location, they would like to add a 10-door coolers as well as a 2-door freezer, and actually increase the grocery inside the new addition. So in order for this sale to actually move, we're asking support for the purchase and reoccupancy, but we're also for the next resolution for the new construction of the addition for the Clark gas station itself.
Okay, well, explain, because in resolution 02 compared to 03, 02, you're talking about build out of the existing building, but then you say in 03, it's new construction. So explain how that works. You're expanding it, but
Again, if looking at B here, is actually a purchase and reoccupancy. So the current owner will go vacant prior to the closing, which makes the property eligible for a Class 8 tax incentive. So with that, that's part one. But you need a second Class 8 for new construction, which is a separate incentive itself. So first is for the purchase and reoccupancy. The second resolution is for the expansion, which is the new construction, the addition of the building onto the Clark gas station.
understood. Yes.
And like I said, Feroz really wanted to be here this evening, but it is actually his younger brother that passed away last Thursday. So another immediate family member, and he really wanted to be here, but really, like I said, he called us late this afternoon for us to show up.
All right, I make a motion to approve resolutions number R-002 and R-003.
Second.
Okay, it's a motion and second to approve. Collectively, these are what, two put together, C and B and C?
Actually, the board can't do a single vote on B and C together.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 19R-002.
And 3, you can do them together.
I just did. Yes.
2 and 3?
Yes, sir.
The motion is seconded to approve resolution 19R-002 and 003. Any discussion?
Mayor, may I be recognized?
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, I'm all for the new construction. I have a problem with the old construction. And even though you stated it will be a new buyer, the person haven't purchased it yet. Is that on contingency that he get the Class 8?
Yes, indeed.
Now, we just had a gentleman not so long ago that purchased the storage facility on Woodlawn, if the board members remember that. And they also wanted a Class 8 because they had purchased that building, and that building is not a new existing building or a new business. It's going to remain the same type of business but with a different owner. So I have a problem with that part.
As I recall, that was a renewal. That was a Class 8 renewal. They were asking for another 10 years onto their incentive.
They wasn't new owners that they had sold that property?
Right.
They were new owners, but Class 8 renewal, so you're both right.
Right. So,
And we weren't receiving any sales tax or too much from that storage facility that you're referring to.
I understand that. I'm just,
Mayor, could I be recognized?
Now, hold on a minute.
If any trustee, Valerie, if any trustee wants to separate the two, you can.
I would like to separate those two.
That's fine then.
Okay, so do we need to go back and get a motion to separate this? This is approved for both?
No, any trustee can do it unilaterally on a.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Resolution 19-002. Can we get a motion to approve 19-002?
I make a motion to approve resolution number 19R002.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve Resolution 19-R002, supporting a proposed Class 8 classification for the certain property within the Village of Dalton located at 733 East 142nd Street. That's the Clark gas station. It's an existing building. And it's put on the agenda by Trustee Muhammad. Any discussion on this?
Yes, can I be recognized, Mayor?
Go ahead.
I just have a problem with the existing because we have turned down Dunkin' Donuts, and as Trustee Stubbs say, we turned down the storage facility because the taxes that are given in a break have to be made up by the residents. And I'm okay for any new construction, you know, because it's bringing new tax dollars to the community. But the existing means that that levy is going to have to be made up, and it's going to have to be made up by the residents. So I can't vote for that one, but I can go for the new construction.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
On Resolution 19R-002, supporting a proposed Class 8 classification for certain property within the Village of Dalton, 733 East 142nd Street, Clark Station, existing building. Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs.
No.
Trustee House.
Aye.
Trustee Denton.
No.
Trustee Pearson.
No.
Trustee Henyard.
Aye.
3-3, Mayor.
3-3 again, Mayor. What you gonna do?
Funny.
Boy, y'all give me some power tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Let's put you to work.
Wow. We should work this way all the time. Well, I'm going to say this.
I'll just give you a vote, please. Want them to hear me.
I'm going to say this. This may be an unpopular decision, but taking into consideration what has happened at this station, the expense and the loss of revenue that had occurred with the murder that happened at that station. As a matter of fact, that's the second murder that has happened at that gas station. I'm going to vote aye on this.
Yeah. I agree with you, Mayor.
Clerk, does the motion pass?
Yes.
The motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 19R-003.
Why don't you let me call it first? Okay. Next thing on the agenda is item number C, resolution number 19-R003, supporting a proposed Class 8 classification for a certain property within the Village of Dalton at 733 East 142nd Street. Trustee Muhammad. Is there a motion?
Again, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 19R-003.
Second.
Okay, it's been approved, motion to approve 19-003. And seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. Roll call.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Henry?
Aye.
Motion carries. Unanimous decision. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, trustees.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda is resolution number 19R-004, the renaming of Chicago Road as to Dalton Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, and that was put on the agenda by me. Can I get a motion to approve the renaming of Chicago Road?
I'd like to make the motion to table items D and E, resolution number R-004 and resolution R-005 to table.
Second.
Which is the old one? Wayne.
See what I mean? Okay. Yeah.
Motion to table by
Motion
Trustee
to
Muhammad.
table. Motion to table the renaming of Chicago Road from Chicago for Black History Month from Chicago Road to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, and he's also asking to table the designating of Parkside Avenue to Honorable Wayne Adams Way.
Let's see what committee we can do it.
Was there a second?
There's a motion to table?
There's a motion to table and a second.
Who seconded? I did. Okay.
I did, Mayor.
It was motioned by Trustee Muhammad and seconded by Trustee Stubbs. So there's no further discussion on this until the mayor's report. Okay.
Got to vote.
No, there's
You
no
gotta vote.
discussion on the tabled matter.
Trustee
You're not going to tell me
Muhammad?
what I'm going to say in my mayor's report. Go ahead.
Violating
Vote. You're not
Robert's
going to tell me
rules.
what I'm going to say in my mayor's
Point of
report.
information, Attorney Murphy or
You're not going to
clerk.
take the vote, Madam
A
Clerk.
point of information
Take the
from
vote,
Madam
Madam
Clerk
Clerk.
or Attorney Murphy. Once there's been a motion to table an item, can it be discussed even at mayor's address?
It cannot be discussed while the motion's being considered, but after the motion's been disposed of, and elected officials have their right to speak in what's open forum, they have their First Amendment right to speak about anything that occurred during the meeting.
I just hope that's
Thank you.
consistent with every board member.
you. Yes,
Thank you
just-
for that
thank you.
ruling, and it's public,
you.
and that's
Just
for
write
every
down the
board
date
member.
and the
Thank you.
time so we can remember this when
Yes.
we want to
Thank you.
talk.
Thank you for
Take
the law.
vote, Madam Clerk. You're out of order, Trustee. Take the vote.
On the motion to table, Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs.
Aye.
Trustee House.
No.
Trustee Denton. Trustee Pearson.
Aye.
Trustee Henyard.
I'm not going to be petty like you, Mayor, over email. No.
You got one tonight, I got one. Okay.
Motion carries 4-2
Thank you.
to table.
All right, next thing on the agenda is the water restoration service by Public Works after payment of bill. Trustee Henry.
Thank you. Mary Kay, quick question. Was ordinance, or did you ever find out?
My recollection is that the current procedure by Public Works for 48 hours to restore water is policy, not ordinance.
Okay. Okay, the reason why I put this on the agenda, you guys, is we got an issue in the village of Dalton, of course, with the water. You all know that. My issue is I get a ton of complaints. Unfortunately, you guys know I'm the people's trustee, so they call me with all their concerns. The biggest concern is someone, and I ain't gonna point fingers because people gonna say they don't know who did it, turned off someone's water over the 3-day holiday. My issue with that is, on Friday, if the person paid you your money, you should have went back and turned their water back on, especially knowing we're going to be shut down Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So that individual cannot get their water turned back on until Tuesday. So I'm advocating for the residents, once again, that this board put into effect that we turn people water back on, I want to say right away. And the reason why I'm saying right away, I'm going to give you an example. The city of Markham. I did my research. I'm not over this committee, but I do my research when you guys bring the complaint to me. They turn their water back on the same day. You got until 12 o'clock to pay the bill. When you pay the bill at 12, they send people out to cut it back on by 5 o'clock, end of business. So why can't we have the same services here in the village of Dalton? So that's what I'm advocating for. That's why I asked her, was it an ordinance, a law that we need to change, or anything we need to mimic?
One of the things, Trustee, is that the hours of the water department, Public Works is
3 o'clock.
7 to 3:30. Okay. And some days, depending on the amount of work that they have, they're doing shut-offs, and they may not be able to turn them all back on due to the significant amount that had been turned off, and it needs to be restored. So do you want the water that has been turned off turned on the same day if it includes overtime?
Mayor, if they're making it work in their city, I don't see why we can't do the same.
I'm just asking.
If we had the manpower to go shut it off, I'm pretty sure we got the manpower to go cut it back on.
No, there's only two men on the truck that shut off water and turn on water. And you mentioned by the end of the day at 5 o'clock. Their day does not end at 5 o'clock. Their day ends at 3:30.
Right.
By union contract. So if you're saying you want it all cut on by the same day, then I'm just asking you, do you want to pay overtime for all this water to be
Mayor,
turned back on?
I was using that as an example so you guys can understand that other communities are doing that. I understand their time frame is different from ours. Ours is at 3:30, like you just stated. That means that we have to push our time back. So it don't have to be by 12 o'clock. It could be they pay the bill by 11 or whatever that's feasible to the village. That loans the resident gets service. That's what I care about. I don't think a person should be held accountable just because they didn't pay their bill, that they have to suffer for 3 days, Mayor. I think that's unfair, and that's not human. We all human. We all make mistakes.
I agree with you.
We should still
I agree
turn
with
it
you.
on.
All I'm saying is that what the other trustee mentioned, the fact about creating a notice that gives them the time to pay their bill. So, for example, if the bill is delinquent and they get the notice, and according to these revisions here, someone put on my desk is that give them 10 days to come and pay the bill. So if they're in that grace period and the 10 days expire and then they go on the shut-off list, are you saying that if they pay it by 8 o'clock or 11 o'clock, continue to let the workers work and pay them overtime to do it?
No, Mayor, I'm not saying that.
Because certainly if these grace periods are in place, sometimes they may fall and they may fall on a holiday, so.
Mayor, what's the criteria for turn on, shut off, and turn on?
What's the criteria? What happens is when if they get shut off and the bill is paid, they are advised that the water will be turned on within the next 24 hours.
48.
So, okay, 48, you're exactly right, in 48 hours. And one of the reasons that was designed because of the number, you've probably seen the list of the number of shut-offs that's on a daily basis.
Okay, so they got 48 hours. Come on, just stick with me for 1 minute so the residents can follow.
I'm just trying to tell you, so while they're conducting shut-offs, they also do turn-ons, but they don't say, hey, we're going to have it back on in 24 hours. They say 48 hours because of the amount of work that that they have on a daily basis. Now, you talk about Markham may not have as many shut-offs as we do. So there's a bunch of variances that come into play here. All I'm saying is that if you want to put a certain time in place and have the water restored on the same day that it's turned off, you need to decide whether you want these guys to work, which may include overtime.
Okay, but Mayor, we mimic other communities. That's why I went and did some research to say if it's working over there, it can work over here. It starts at the top. The department head can structure a plan where this can work. I think we should at least attempt. We should try it. If we're getting a ton of complaints, we have to do something. We can't let people just keep complaining and want to come and move in our community, and we do nothing in regards to services. Services is key. And I keep telling you guys that Matt's department, which is Public Works, that's the root of any community. If they fall, we all fall. So what I'm saying is let's fix this problem currently, which is 48 hours is too long to turn somebody's water back on. The whole goal is to get the money, to get the funds from the resident. The residents will go hustle up, call their neighbors or whoever. They'll give them the money. They come and pay us. And when they pay us, we need to cut their water back on. And that's my issue right now. I got too many complaints on my desk about water. So when we have to insert ourselves, meaning this body, and get somebody's water turned on, that means it's a bigger issue.
On the flip side, I get heat because we didn't turn the water off. You're not collecting your money, Mayor. Why don't you turn the water off?
That's not what I'm advocating for right now. I'm advocating turn on.
I understand that. All I'm saying is that these daily shut-off lists come out. See how lengthy they are? In some cases, we can turn them off. In some cases, we can't. They have to do dig jobs. So in between turning the waters off and in between those that we can't turn off because they have to bring another crew out to dig to dig to turn it off.
What's the dollar amount for a turn off? What amount do a resident have to be at to be considered for shut off? What's that dollar amount?
How long?
Is it $100? Is it $500? Is it $1,000? What's that shut off amount?
I'm not sure.
To get Matt, that's your department. What's the shut off amount?
It's,
Okay.
trustee,
Okay,
it's $300.
hold on. Yeah, okay. This trustee is saying $300. Some of it comes into play with how long it's been delinquent. And trustee, you also have to realize the fact that, and I told them, don't turn any water off during this freezing period.
Well, they ain't
Okay.
listening. They cut off a ton of people water, so I
When?
don't understand.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. That's why I put it on the agenda.
No, they
Mayor.
didn't.
They did.
I know why you put it on the
I'm
agenda. I
telling
got the thing here why you put it on the
Why did I
agenda.
put it on the agenda? My seat not up, so why did I put it on the agenda? I've always
Because-
advocated for people. Why else would I put it on the
Yeah.
agenda, Mayor?
Okay, just answer this question. Do you want to pay overtime to get the water turned back on
Mayor,
the
it's not
same day?
about overtime. It's about him restructuring his department. It can't work, Mayor.
We have to work
Mayor.
under the
Okay,
contract,
do you want
the
me to sit
union
down and get a
contract.
plan? I can sit down and make a plan. You
We
want me
have
to
to
do
work
that?
under the union
Mayor,
contract.
do you want me to sit down and put that plan together?
Yeah,
I
put
can
one
definitely do
together.
that.
We'll look
okay,
at it.
so Matt, tomorrow, are you available? What time? I'm gonna come to your office and make a plan. No. What time are you available? Not what time you're there. So 6:30, you're there to what? 8? So you want to set an appointment with me at 9? I'll be there at 9 a.m.
The other thing, trustee, we had 9 water main breaks over the last month. So what happens? We pull those guys off, put them on crews to make sure that we get to those water main breaks quickly because that meter is running. And nobody pays that water that's coming up out of the ground but the village.
Mayor, what's the dates that we cut off? We cut off 7 days a week, or do we stop cutting off on Thursday? What's the shut off date?
No, it's Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. Okay.
7:30 to 3:30. 7:30 to 3 o'clock because they get by union. They got to stop to
7
get
to
wash
3.
up time, whatever.
Okay. So
But-
now do you see what my concern is? So if a resident get their water shut off on Friday, you guys follow what I'm saying. Your water shut off on Friday. They close at 3:30. That means you don't have no water over the entire weekend. 2 days you're without water.
But they've
so my
been
question
warned.
is,
They've been warned on the notice.
okay, some of them saying they not getting warned, Mayor. Some of them saying they not getting notices. You been on the street. I've been on the street. That's what they're complaining about. So that's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay, if you want, and I think this should be a board decision, if you want them to stay out there to continue to turn water on, then we're going to have to pay overtime. Now, I'm going to, Trustee House has a comment.
Well, I think that the biggest thing is making sure that we set a realistic expectation. I would love an ideal world that people whose water is turned off can be turned off immediately. However, I do want to kind of get feedback from the Public Works Manager, Superintendent Stacy, on whether or not that's realistic, because there is a shortage of manpower. I know they were out all during the cold and all those other weathers, and those things do take priority. So I would ask Superintendent Stacy if it's realistic, and if not, if there's a plan that could be come up with that maybe we could consider that could become realistic. But I don't want to make a promise to a resident of something that we just can't fulfill or put that burden on the Public Works Department.
You know, Trustee, we used to have 26 people in Public Works. We got 16 now. And one of the things that just happened was we had a water main break, then it snowed, then we had another water main break, then it snowed. We had to divide the manpower that was available to work to handle all those problems. You know, 2 water main breaks going. Just think about how much money this village has lost over 9 water main breaks. So you know, we got to hire more people. We have to observe the union contract and abide by the union contract. But we've had a bunch of incidents that occurred that, you know.
Mayor, may I be recognized?
Can Matt answer that question?
Matt wanted to comment. Did you want to comment about anything, Matt? Okay, go ahead, Trustee.
Wait a minute, hold on. You asked a question, Trustee?
Trustee Pearson. Go ahead,
Y'all
Trustee
never let
Pearson.
Matt answer the question. He's the department
He can
head.
answer.
He said he didn't have any comment.
I don't have nothing to say right now. If you want, we can sit down whenever
Never got
and go
nothing to
through
say.
stuff.
Oh, come on, Trustee.
He don't.
Okay, so you-
Department. Gosh.
Mayor, I'll go forward with
Go ahead,
my
Trustee.
comment. I do think that a resident waiting over the weekend is a little harsh, and I know that we're doing it because we want our money, but some people are just struggling. Everybody's not paying because they don't want to not pay their bill. Some people are really struggling, so maybe we could look at not cutting off on Fridays. And I know that might be tough, but it is, Trustee Henyard's right. And I want our money just like everybody else, because I think, Trustee Muhammad, sometimes he says 1.9 million and 2.1 million. Those are big numbers, and we do need our money, but if somebody can come in and pay on Friday, we should try to get their water back on.
Okay.
And even if it costs overtime on Saturday, I mean, that's a long time to wait to get your water back on.
Okay, if however you want to do it, if you want to put in place, don't cut any water off on Friday, that's fine. Y'all make your ordinances. I don't have the power. Go ahead. So however you want to do it,
May I be recognized, Mayor?
Go ahead.
The dovetail with Trustee Henyard, one of the points she made was about the billing, because sometimes there can be a mistake in billing. Our infrastructure is not where it should be. And that's what we talked about earlier part of this board meeting about billing. 10 days past the 30 days. So there's a lot of discrepancy within that system. The water department has to be rehauled. And in the meantime, with the mistakes that's happening, it's like with the death penalty. You got to freeze the death penalty because too many people have been freed because of DNA. The DNA in our village is that our department is not ran efficiently. I agree wholeheartedly if that's what Trustee Pearson and Trustee Henyard are saying about definitely don't cut off water on the weekend. I definitely agree with that. Number two, we have to make sure, and I know that Mr. Stacy doesn't want to speak on this, but I heard this from himself, that oftentimes they'll get mistakes in shutoffs. They'll get an address and then they're told, nope, you got to go back and cut it back on. So our infrastructure is in need of repair. And until we get it right, we should not be cutting water off on the weekends. And as far as it being 24 or 48 hours, I would really like to get the input, as Trustee House said, from Mr. Stacy. Do we have the manpower to do it within a 24-hour period? Are there enough people on board out of the 19 staff members that we have that can do that? If not, just say it. It's a pretty simple question.
No, we don't have the manpower. We can use more manpower, but the first thing we got to do is get to the water department and figure out the billing situation. Because like I said before, we're getting lists sent over to us, we're turning them off, then we're turning around and going and turning them back on. It all starts over there first. Then you come talk to me and we can sit down and put a plan together. But in order to put a plan together, you have to have the billing done right.
I agree, Mr. Stacy.
However you want to go at it, Trustee Henyard, start next door, then come see me when you get a plan together.
No, I'm coming to see you, Matt. Know that. I'll be there tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
They won't let it in.
Mayor, may I be recognized briefly? This won't be long.
Let me make a recommendation. Whose committee is this?
This is my committee.
Okay, why don't you put something together, get it to the other trustees, or pass it by them to the other trustees, and put whatever you want to put in place. You want to cut it off, no cut off on Friday, you don't want to cut it off on Tuesday, whatever you want to do it. But, I just know that this board has came before and talked about the urgency. Why is that water still on? Why is that water still on? So however you want to do it, this is your chance to say, we don't want it off on Friday. We want to, however you want to do it.
Can I say this before I accept that task, if you don't mind?
Go ahead.
Because I have the shut-off list. I didn't realize it was 2 of them. You have about approximately 60 names on the shut-off list. And also, I want the people to be mindful. They get an opportunity to also come in and make arrangements to pay their bill. And I totally agree about the weekends, but I'm also looking at the manpower too, because you only have a certain amount of guys, 19 guys, and with all the other tasks that they have to do also, that's important. So maybe we should, Trustee Henyard, I'd be more than glad to sit down with you.
We gonna see Matt tomorrow at 9.
I'm not available tomorrow at 9, but I'm available tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, then I'll call you when I'm done with Matt.
When you done with
When
that?
you done with it.
Yeah, when I'm done over there talking to him. What you mean?
That's all I-
Y'all
that's
just
all I
spend
have.
stuff. I swear you
See, you
spend
hear that?
stuff.
You hear that?
Y'all twist stuff up. Get your man out the gutter.
Okay. All right, so there's no vote on that, right?
So,
gonna go in the,
Attorney Murphy, so we
good.
need to put this on the floor for a vote to advocate for the turn on right back away, or what?
Well, why don't you wait till you and the committee chair meet and then make a recommendation? We can take care of it the next board meeting formally.
All right.
My understanding is there's no shut-offs going on right now anyway, is that right?
No, shut-offs have resumed.
See?
It was just during that time period where it was, 50 below or whatever it was. Yeah,
I just have one question, Mayor. May I?
go ahead.
Your mic.
Mr. Stacy?
Turn on your mic, trustee.
Matt, what is the average turn-on time, do you know?
It's usually, depending on how many we have, it's 24 hours, no later than 48.
Okay. And on Friday, if we cut it off, do we make an effort to try to,
Well, see,
on Friday, do we try to make an effort to get it on before the weekend, or do we?
Yeah, we set a time with the water department. If they're paid by noon, they'll be turned on by 3 o'clock.
Okay.
If they pay after 12 p.m., if they come in at 1 o'clock, they're not on until Monday morning or Tuesday, at the latest.
That's good to know.
okay. I want to say something also, is that there's a certain number of accounts that never let the water meter readers in. And it's been going on, in some of them, over a year. The cards are not returned. They leave cards, the cards are not returned. And then when they go out to turn the water off, we hear from them. So I can say honestly that no one here is delayed on getting the water turned on. Getting the water turned on. But as Trustee Stubbs said, on her list right now, there's 69. There's 69 shut-offs that are required to do. Probably, I'd say maybe 10 or 20% of those will be dig jobs where they have to bring an additional crew member out to get it turned off, replace a buffalo box, and then fill it back in, which may take 3 to 4 hours or longer. But at any rate, okay. All right, next thing on the agenda is approval of collective bargaining agreement with firefighters. This is Village Attorney Murphy.
I've sent the board a memo summarizing the agreement that we have with the IAFF representing the fire union. The board will recall that for FOP and other employees, we had a 2-year cycle at 0% and 2.5. Because of the passage of time, we worked together with IAFF to have a 3-year contract. The president of the fire union is here, Mr. Duval, and we've agreed for a 0, 2.5, 2.5. So that's 5% over 3 years. But I think the good thing for the board, this will that's the market for police and fire contracts these days. It will take the board through this next fiscal year, having certainty as to what the wages are. We're hoping that we'll get a similar agreement with FOP and bring that to the board in the near future to have in effect what's called a rollover for 19-20. This, I think, will help budget certainty, avoid the bargaining costs for another year, as much as I regret the loss of bargaining costs. But the most important thing, it provides certainty for another year at a fair wage rate.
And that's for 2 years, attorney?
It's actually a 3-year contract, but, it's 17-18 was a 0, 18-19 to 2.5, and 19-20
It's 2.5.
so 5% over 3 years.
Gotcha.
And is that the only changes, Attorney Murphy?
There was language changes that were negotiated earlier while Mr. Urban was still there, so those have pretty much been incorporated into the contract, but the primary the predominant economic issue is the wages, and those are the numbers.
So we'll get a formal agreement, because we got I think it was like a draft that you sent, but is there a
I
formal?
sent the markup to the board, which summarized the changes, so we'll have a clean one, but I think the union has voted, is that right, Mr. Duval? So I can resend the markup, but I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the new agreement.
Second.
Okay, it's a motion and second to accept the new collective bargaining agreement with the firefighters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Henyard?
Aye.
Motion carries, 6 ayes. Next thing on the agenda is approval of the settlement agreement for Norman versus the Village of Dalton. Village Attorney.
This is a pending litigation matter. I don't want to go into any additional detail other than what I presented in my board memorandum. This is a civil rights, false arrest, excessive force, malicious prosecution case. The only thing I want to add from the board memo is that compared to where plaintiffs were on the case and where we've ended up following a negotiation in the chambers of Chief Federal Judge Ruben Castillo, I believe this is a favorable settlement in terms of cost benefit for the village board. Again, you've got the numbers. We're not final yet, so we don't need to vote that number. But because of our self-insurance situation and our high deductible, everything needs to come into consideration in terms of cost benefit, so I think this is a reasonable one in light of a couple of the other problems I mentioned in the memo.
Again, you do need approval of the settlement, though, because down at the court, we were to bring this to the board. Do we do that in exec session then? Because it has to be approved.
If you can vote it now, I'm supposed to report to the court later this week.
Okay. Well, I make a motion to approve the settlement agreement with Norman v. Village of Dalton, to approve that settlement.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motion and seconded to approve the agreement for settlement in the Norman versus Dalton case. Any discussion?
Yes, I actually don't remember that number.
Well, I don't mind giving the numbers.
Okay, I'd like
The plaintiffs demanded in excess of $100,000. We've been able to settle it for $20,000. That's inclusive of attorney's fees, costs, everything.
Thank you, Attorney Murphy.
Okay, any further questions? Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Henyard?
Aye.
Motion carries, 6 ayes. Okay, next thing on the
Mayor, if I may ask one question before your report.
Good, Trustee.
We had 3 items on here that were tabled, but we did not follow dates. It was the block by block, the Martin Luther King Drive, and Honorable Adams Way.
Yeah.
Do we need to set a date, or does that just need to be put back on the agenda at a future time?
Well, I would think that it's up to the board members who had voted
Tabled it. What was it
negatively
tabled to?
on it to try to get together and feel that, I know I'm going to put mine back on the agenda, and if they want to keep voting it down or tabling it, they can do that.
Yeah, me too. I'm putting mine back on now 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know the one that I tabled was tabled to committee, and I really would like to sit down and discuss it with Trustee Henyard at
Y'all
a
don't even
committee meeting.
have a committee. When do y'all
Okay,
committee meet?
hey. Develop one.
I have a lot of committee meetings.
I got a committee.
Create one. I mean, they got a committee. There's 10
I
committees.
tabled it to housing.
They took me off
I don't know who has
What do you
housing.
mean?
I think Stubbs
All right.
has housing.
All right, we're going to move on. Next thing on the agenda is the mayor's report. I'm just going to comment on a few things. We had a terrible last week. Hopefully we can get through the rest of the winter without having it as bad. I know there was I want you to consider this. I know there was a number of pipes that were burst. I had 3 pipes that were burst and came on, water was running. So you're probably going to see an increase in your water bill, anybody that had some pipes that burst. So you know, take that in consideration. The next thing is the water main breaks. We're up to 9. Is it 9 this year so far? What this year? How many were there before the end of 2018? Through. You get a ballpark? I mean. Okay, so Superintendent Station said before the end of the year, it's about 15 or 20. We got another 9 here, so that would put us at close to about 25 or so. I know when we had the 24 inches of snow, we had 41 water main breaks. That means that water that's running is charged to the village. We cannot pass that off to anybody else. That's why in some cases, the water department is considered as a separate profit center. And what happens is, we have to sell water for more than what we buy it for, because what that does is it pays for the overtime, it pays for the parts, labor, it pays for that excess of water that we lose that we can't charge to anybody, but the city of Chicago is charging us. When you see a water main break, those meters over there in the what do you call it? Yeah, those meters, and we had the city of Chicago come out and do an audit and check those meters, and we found that they overbilled us $1 million. So they put in new meters, but when there's water main breaks, that meter's going like this, and that means that we pay for it. So, so at any rate, we have to have we're going to stay in a deficit, but we have to have enough money to pay for those water main breaks, pay for the services for public works, pay for the overtime, and that can be expensive. Which ones? This board made a decision to give it to one company. So well, Trustee Henry says he's going to put it back on the agenda. So at any rate, we have to make some money here. We have to generate revenue to get out of debt. I'm going to say this is that I got 2 years left in office, and your mayor leaves. He leaves when? April, right? Your mayor, your Chicago mayor, yeah. So I don't live in Chicago, but we're not going to go back and forth. So at any rate, I got 2 more years left in office. You know, I'm going to ask that you remove that gentleman. Chief.
He's not even doing anything. That's not right, Mayor. Everybody outbursts, and you make me outburst.
The first 2. Yeah, see you.
That was wrong.
And I'm going to say, you know, if I were given an opportunity, for the last 6 years, I haven't been given an opportunity to govern here. And I'm going to say this, that I know how to get this village out of debt. I know how to get this village out of debt. I gave an example 2 meetings ago in regards to those houses, where every other village that gives away houses, they get money for it. We're not getting a dime. Now, I can guarantee you that I can sell 100 houses for $20,000 apiece. That's $2 million. That's $2 million. And possibly even more. But I haven't had the opportunity to do that.
You just did. And you shut it down.
I haven't had the opportunity to do that. So,
I hope y'all listen.
All I'm saying is that give me somebody to work with. Give me somebody to work with, and I can get this community out of debt. I know how to do it. The next thing I'm going to say is I want to talk about the renaming of Chicago Road. If you look at a lot of these communities, more than none, have renamed a street, a major street, or some street in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. For this board to table that, I think is political. I don't think of any other way that we can honor Dr. Martin Luther King or honor Black History Month by renaming that street in behalf of Dr. Martin Luther King. And then secondly, the other street that I wanted to, which is only a block, and you're out of order, trustee. Okay, you had your turn to talk. Let me talk. This is the mayor's report. The other street was Parkside. Parkside is about a block and a half long. On that street lives Wayne Adams. Wayne Adams and his wife, Grace Adams, have been here for, I want to say close to well over 40 years. Wayne lost his wife a couple of years ago. Wayne is in the Hall of Fame for race car drivers, race car announcers. He served in the Second World War. He's one of our oldest living residents that have served in the Second World War. He's going to be 100 years old in April. So I kind of took a poll of a couple of residents there on Parkside, and they were in favor of it. You know, if I need to get petitions signed, I can get that signed. But I thought it would be a great honor to acknowledge his service, his achievements, and his birthday by naming a block, honorary block for Wayne Adams. Okay, one of the trustees mentioned the fact of a red card being placed in your door. And he said it's not political, or it is political, whatever. That red card, which says if you see something, say something, you can call anonymously that number. And if it's answered by answer service, it's answered by an answering service, but that message will still get to the intended party. That's not to say call this number first and don't call 911. That's saying, in addition, if there's any information that in some cases, some people say we don't trust the police, we don't want to give them the information. So you can call that number, it'll get to the right party, you give the information, and it will be confidential if you don't want to share it with the police department. But the main thing is call. At least call 911. Any additional services that we can get here from outside parties or residents here, I encourage us to do it. Because there are some crimes that go unsolved, and then they wind up getting solved by an outside party presenting that information, or that outside party delivers the suspect or the offender to the police. It's been done on a number of occasions where, hey, I don't want to turn myself into the police unless I got somebody going with me. And that's what that 800 number is intended to do. So that's all I have for I'm going to say one more thing. Please, if we, remember your neighbors, remember the elderly in situations like this, call, check on them, make sure that they're okay. We have a number of elderly residents that don't have phones, that don't have smartphones, can't receive texts, so we need to check on our community, check on our neighbors, and make sure that they're okay. Okay, next thing on the agenda is citizens' address. I'd like to, anybody want to address this board, they can come and do so. But, if we can keep it reasonable, It's normally 3 minutes, but if we can keep it reasonably fine.
Good evening, residents, mayor, clerk, trustees, administration. Trustee Muhammad, why did you table D and E of new business?
Okay, everything that you see on the agenda, what trustees generally do, we discuss it with each other to get your feel on something. And if you can see the person who presents the particular item, the mayor, of course, does not communicate with us at all.
That's not true.
Okay, I'll let him answer it. So,
They thought it would be political, that's why he tabled it.
can I answer your question, please, without interrupting, Mayor? As I stated, generally, we discuss it among ourselves. We get 2 people on the phone at a time, 2 trustees on the phone at a time. And there's been a lot of emails back and forth with the mayor and one of the trustees with a dispute on some things. But it's nothing but an email, a phone call, but the mayor does not discuss anything with this board. Anytime he has anything on the agenda, he may discuss it with one trustee, but he does not discuss it with anyone. And as we all know, Daley, who's running for mayor again, he chose to rename the Dan Ryan to Obama. We know what that's all about.
What's that got to do with Dalton?
Okay, Mayor, would you please quit interrupting, sir? We didn't interrupt your mayor's address.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Why don't you tell the truth?
Please finish, Mayor, with all due respect. So, some will say it's a political move. For me, if he just communicate with us. I sent an email to the mayor recently about the facade around these 2 buildings. And it wasn't demanding him to get it fixed. It wasn't telling him to do his job. He took it the wrong way. It was the first time he responded to me in almost
That's
3
not
years
true.
in an email saying, you're not the boss of me, this is not your job. But he got some of the
why don't we
facial...
read the email?
I tell you what, I'll end it there because this is citizen's address, and that's the best I can answer it for you. Is that we never discussed it. We never discussed it with anyone.
Just to clear this up, the facade around this village hall in the payment center, I had Scott working on that because I wanted to get it done before the winter time because the wood is exposed and it would deteriorate, but somebody took the choice, several of them, to lay Scott off. And I can say Scott fixed the water main break at the Melody Fitness Center today.
He'll be paid for
I
it.
can say pretty much that it would have been caught before the day. Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Trustee Stubbs.
Okay, I only can speak for myself and the reason why I voted to table it. Chicago Road from 141st to 154th. I wanted to know, and the mayor did not include that when he presented this, the cost, signs cost. We are strapped for money, and I wanted to know how much do it cost to rename the street from Chicago Road from 141st to 154th. I needed to know the cost. Also, on Riverside, I needed to know the cost of that also, and he didn't provide that. That's one of the reasons why I didn't vote. I voted to table it.
I know when we renamed Park Avenue after the fallen firefighter, and there was no issue about cost. And they had no more discussion than these 2 items. But if that's the reasoning, then we'll get you a potential cost of changing.
That was one block, Mayor.
Probably 12 to 13 signs. We'll get you a cost.
All right, thank you. Next, Mayor, are you still doing the breakfast with the mayor?
Coffee.
Coffee with the mayor.
Coffee with the mayor? Are
Yes.
you still what day
Every
is that?
second Saturday,
What time?
8:30.
8:30. All right, thank you. Next, does the village still retain a lobbyist?
No.
How long has that been? So we haven't retained one.
Years.
Well, it's probably been maybe, no.
I know we retained when we were in the old building. It hasn't been, it's less than 5, but.
Probably about 4 years.
Okay. Is there a reason why we stopped retaining the lobbyists?
I know it was voted on with some of the prior trustees that were in office, but they said they weren't producing, so.
Okay. Secondly, do we have a plan for the census or vision for the census and promoting the census?
I've been contacted by, of course, some private companies, but this board or I have not put a plan in place.
I would encourage, at the county level, 4th District Cook County Commissioner Stanley Moore is leading the charge at the county level, and at the legislative level, Senator Emil Jones, along with Secretary of State Jesse White's office, is leading the charge to try to get everybody counted. I think it's important, particularly because of South suburbs in particular, we don't get counted, whether it be on our own or when they come and when they come and knock on the door, we don't answer, we don't return stuff in. But it's important because we have to realize whatever money we get in 2021 is what we get for the next 10 years.
Right.
So just think about that because it's important. And we all know we need those funds, and that's easy money, that's free money that we can be getting from the federal government. My last thing is, do we have any capital funding projects in the queue that we need funding from, whether it be from the county, state, or feds?
We do. A completed application, send it to Senator Harris, and which indicate one of the biggest things that I asked for was money to repair the streets. We were given $200,000, I should say, from the county. I think we were in line to get probably another $250, but in my request, I requested $10 million. I'm not certain that we're going to get that, but a majority of our streets need to be resurfaced, and hopefully we can at least get a portion of that money that's available on the capital end.
I appreciate that because two of the reasons why I asked is, one, because that's so we can know, and then two, so as residents and constituents, we can put the friendly pressure on our state elected officials, county officials, whomever, to try to get us that money that we want. So I appreciate that. Is that it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I met with Superintendent Stacy and our engineer. We went through the village and put priority on those streets that we thought had urgent matters, potholes and things like that. Now, we did, it costs approximately $50,000 a block to do a resurface. That's not taking out the old asphalt. That's basically just, what do you call them, Matt? Yeah, they milling it down about 2 to 2.5 inches. And if there's any potholes in there that's significant, they fill that in and then they resurface it. What's the longevity of that? 3 to 4 years. So the $200,000 that we got was only able to repair 4 streets. So that's how expensive it is.
And like I said, I appreciate that. One of the things you said that excited me the most is you said you met with somebody and put a plan in place, and you're trying to implement it. I think many of the things that we're missing in the village is there is no structure, or if there is, we're not following the structure. But once again, I appreciate that because we do need basic services in roads, streets, lights, all that included. So as far as capital funding, I appreciate you going out there and fighting for that because we definitely need it.
Well, the South Suburban African American Mayors Association kind of keep us in the loop in regards to grants that are available, capital funding that are available. So we actually were able to get a reminder to get it done. We had to file it by Friday, whatever the last Friday was in January. So myself, our engineer, Matt Stacy, we went out and looked at, first of all, we looked at the request from residents in regards to getting streets repaired. Secondly, I know some of the trustees said, we've heard from residents and they didn't get the street repair and stuff like that. So we wanted to do it kind of fairly. We put priorities down. How many streets was it, Matt? 40? Yeah, almost 50 streets that we put in. Priority priority first, the real bad streets, and then the ones that weren't as bad. So they seem to think we'll be able to get all the money to get all the streets done, and that's a big, wish. But if we can get half the streets done, it'll help. Okay, Ms. Wells.
Good evening, trustees, mayor, residents. Real simple announcement. I'm going to say in September, a group of residents got together because there was a true concern about getting information and being informed about what was going on. We call ourselves Concerned Citizens of Dalton. So the whole premise of our group is just to inform. It's not to steer you in any direction whatsoever. So we put together a forum for this coming Saturday so you can meet the candidates. All candidates for trustees have been invited to come out and answer questions that have been pre-submitted by the residents. We don't make them up ourselves. We ask the residents to submit your questions. It is a moderated event. There will be no bashing. It's a question, answer. That's it. All we want to do is get to know who's running. We have 11 candidates for 3 seats. And I, for one, want to know who's running and what are you going to do for the village. So we hope that you'll come out. It's going to be at the U.S. Bank right after coffee with the mayor. Come on down. We'll have light refreshments there. And we will have a very respected moderator. Will Davis will be there to moderate. If you have any questions, I'll hang around. So you're all invited. This was created by the citizens of Dalton for the citizens of Dalton, just so we can be informed on what's going on.
I'm a little short.
In height?
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor, trustees. I just got a quick question in regards to the housing program. Tiffany, what was the difference between your housing program or the program with any other trustees, the mayor? I hear BP Capital, I hear, what's the difference? What's going on with that to the fact that it got tabled if it was for the residents? I'm just trying to figure that out.
Okay. The difference was I included the people. Everybody else proposal up here, they did not include the citizens. It was basically for investors only. My program included everybody, which was one side was for investor, the other side was home ownership, which is the residents. You could save your money, come and buy your house for $5,000, and you own it free and clear. That was the benefit of my program. And on top of that, we made revenue both ways, from the investor and from the residents. I basically opened up a line for different revenue streams for the village of Dalton. Contractors. I'm sorry, I had the numbers for that to say how much money I actually brought in by contractors coming and sign up and basically pull a license to be on our list. So we made money from that angle. We will make money from them selling the property. The village will get 25%, and we will make the $5,000 from you, the resident, as well.
Okay. Now, the mayor said that will be brought back up. My only question to the mayor, you've always advocated for the people. Why not tonight?
I'm not saying I'm not advocating for the people. I encourage people to invest here in Dalton. But, we always wind up in a situation where we're giving the store away and we don't create any revenue. When you have something that's of value, I would think that you would try to get the highest price for it. And I'm not saying that I don't want residents to buy houses here, because I invest in Dalton. I mean, what better investment there is for you to be 5 minutes away from your investment? We could all go buy houses in Cayman City or somewhere else, and then if something happens, you got to go 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then you got to figure out what it is, So what better way to invest in a place that you write in your office? And the $1,000, the $5,000, I'll be honest with you, I don't understand how she had it set up, but I do know this, that those houses that they gave away, gave this one company, BP Capital, control over 400 houses. A lot of those houses were recent foreclosures. They didn't need much work. So you buy a house that don't need much work. It's unfortunate people lose their houses and stuff like that, but it happens. You buy houses, work. In some cases, some of these houses, you know, that they getting control over, they already worth $30,000 and $40,000. You know, so you pick a price that's affordable to anybody. So you got a recent foreclosure, it's worth 30, 40, you ask 20 for it. You can sell 100 houses like that. And the person that buys the house and put the investment in it, they're going to get 3 to 4 times over what their return is. Now, there was an article in Crane Magazine last year that said the best place to invest your money in the south suburbs and the highest rate of return is in Dalton, Illinois. Not for anybody. Anybody. You can, if you want to buy a house, you're a resident here, and you buy one, you're an investor. One of the biggest things that a person can ever do in their life, in regards to investment, is to buy a house.
Okay.
Buy a home.
So now I guess my next question would be to those trustees that voted for the BP Capital to get those 400 houses, which I'm assuming you already signed away.
I did not.
Oh, okay, you did not.
They're suing me because I didn't sign the deeds. And when you have an attorney that had represented the village, you know, in some part BP Capital, and that attorney belongs to a law firm where his partner, son, has sued me in court to sign off on the deed that he bought a house in. I think it's a direct conflict of interest.
I would agree.
Well, that's what has happened. And now I'm in court now because who's suing me now? This is a fact. This is not funny. This is a fact. Who's suing me now because I didn't sign the deeds?
Look to your left, look to your right.
Okay. All right. So
y'all need to say names. Don't do that.
So now
Pick which trustees it is. Don't do that.
So now they're suing me because what I want to know is who you selling the houses to, how much you selling them for, and how much they're putting them back on the market. That would tell you how much we've lost on property that we had value to, could have helped us get out of debt. And I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right to sell houses and give them away and not get anything for them.
Okay.
So
he went on to a whole speech, but let me just interject. If you pay attention,
this citizen's address now. Hold on. He asked me.
He asked me the question though. Then he asked you, and then you went on a whole speech.
Okay.
I just want to interject with what he's saying. Okay, he had the opportunity today to give the property back to the community, to the residents. The mayor voted the opposite. So I don't know why he's trying to deflect once again. He could have broke tie. It was 3-3. It was on the table to give you guys the properties, and he voted no. So I don't know if you missed that or not.
And I told you,
and it would have been right back on the table for you guys to benefit. He keep advocating. Listen to what he said out of his mouth. He's advocating for investor only. I can sell the houses for $20,000. That's what he's saying. We don't so much just care about the dollar amount. We care about home ownership. People rebuilding the community. That's what I care about.
You don't think a resident can buy a house for $20,000?
When I structured this law, I thought of the residents first and what I want to see living next door to me. So that's why I advocate for this. I had to put a template together to present to the board. Then I asked the board to basically weigh in on what their thoughts were. Some did, some didn't. And then as you can see, some voted with me, some didn't. Again, I'm all about community first. Why can't you come up with the same type of money an investor come up with and invest back in your own backyard?
Okay. So I get it. I got it.
Thank you.
My question's been asked and answered. That's fine. The next thing that I want to say is, again, we have to, as a community, put forth a good front, even if you not together. But when that camera is rolling, everybody is watching. It don't matter what we try to do. Mayor, you say you got a plan to get us out of debt. You know how to do it. I asked you for the plan a few meetings ago. You didn't come up with that. But the trustees, back and forth. Again, the appearance of this board is hindering anybody from coming that's watching. Because it's two things people look at: location and leadership, security. They look at those things, and from across this board, it's just bickering. I understand when you say, I don't have no help, give me some people. But at the same time, the people saying, we don't have no mayor, get us a mayor. Yeah,
why don't you run for mayor then?
That's not. I'm running for trustee, sir. So I'll let that one step at a time. Don't worry about it. But that's not why I'm not trying to attack you. What I'm just saying is this: at some point, the bickering has to stop, and y'all got to work together, like Robert Rules of Order that Muhammad keeps saying. Again, if you keep putting out Robert's Rules of Order, then utilize Robert's Rules of Order and have some order on this board. Because what we see is out of order.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to get a motion to adjourn. Mr. Brown.
Good evening, leadership and residents. I'd just like to speak on, you guys were talking about the monthly water bills. I'm a retired federal employee after 37 years, and I'm on a fixed income. For 28 years, I've been paying my water bill 4 times a year for 28 years. I got my water bill set up. Now you guys talking about going month to month. It would be good if you guys actually had a town hall meet, let all the residents know that this here is coming up, because now you're putting another bill on the table for every month. That's a little tough for some of us, you know. And right now, the water department, it's a lot of paper over there right now. There seems to be a little problem. And now you're going from 4 times a year to 12 times a year. That's a lot of paperwork to deal with, because them yellow cards, they building a wall over there. So I just hope you guys at least sit down and talk about that and give the residents a chance to chime in on that one. Don't take that one too light. Then I want to talk about the Melanie Center. Was that last week? That Wednesday and Thursday was very, very cold. And Dalton Park actually was a warming center, and Melanie's supposed to have been one in Franklin School. Lincoln School. And by Melanie was closed, it was some family that went to the Melanie that was closed. I did receive a phone call from Trustee Henry about they need somewhere for these individuals to go. So we had the park open, and I actually had to sit at the park a little longer than I anticipated, because the individuals that worked there had to go home. So I had to sit there, you know, and actually these individuals wanted to take a shower. So ran out and got some towels and soap and shampoo and all that, and let a family of 5, well, it was a husband, wife, and 5 kids, we let them take a shower at the park. When the park closed, I was able to go to the church at 14540 Lincoln, William Fleshman's church. He opened the doors to the church. So we stayed there all night. And that was a family that went to the Melanie, they couldn't get in, and they needed somewhere to go. So we had to hold the church open all night and fed them and took care of them on that. Then that red car. This red card kind of misled a lot of people. This is misleading. For one, I have talked with police officers. They didn't know anything about the red card. So it was just not no talking with one another up here. The police officer didn't even know about the red card. So the thing, I did have a young lady, Miss Freeman, 87-year-old senior, live at 111111 Chicago Avenue.
That's in Chicago.
Well, I didn't want to give her address out, man. I said about 7 ones.
No, we ain't got no ones here.
It's supposed to be anonymous.
Yeah.
So what happened in this situation, she had just came from Dallas. The Pace bus just let off at her little apartment there, and she was going into her home with her little walker, and as she was put a key in the door, as it opened up, she got pushed from the back inside her little lobby there by a tall gentleman. She said he must about my height, whatever. He had a hood on, but he was light skinned, so wasn't me.
I ain't as tall as you.
So actually, she got pushed into a lobby, and the gentleman tried to force her to go into her apartment. But you know, we got some tough seniors.
Did she call the police?
Well, what she did, she called this number. She called this number, and she got jerked around. And she then called me. And
Did she call the police?
But then I told her,
is there a police report?
Soon as you hang up this phone, I want you to call the police. And I'm on my way over.
Okay.
So
there's a police report?
So this here, actually, I got beat upside the head with a car I didn't even know anything about. If this is going to go out on the street, because this has been put at individuals' homes, the police should know about this. That was totally unfair to the police officers. They had no idea this was going on. This is false advertising.
Can I see that card? Is there a police report?
Yeah, she said she called the police. Police was there within 2 seconds.
Okay, so
she said the police officers, you know, they did what they're getting paid to do. And whoever this individual is, that's totally misleading residents, totally unfair, communication terrible, and that's like a slap in the face to our police officers, because they getting paid to do that kind of job. And you bringing somebody in, work it somewhere else, because it's not working here. Because we got police officers, they got people out on the street that would tell them a lot of different things. So it's not like they won't tell the police officer what's going on. So a lot of our crimes have got solved from, you know, individuals telling the police officers. So that card is misleading. That should have been approved by the board before that was given out.
Come on.
Something. Because it's just unfair. A lot of people didn't even know about the card.
Right.
But there are some residents that did get the card, and she actually called that number. You know, she's still cursing.
Oh yeah.
She's cursing because that was totally unfair. Okay. And when the police came, and they made a report. And they said they had no idea about the card.
Okay.
So that's just something that needs to be addressed there. I don't know if it's political or what, but that was totally unfair to the residents.
I'll explain to you in a minute.
To put that out.
Okay, can we, you know, we're well over the 3 minutes.
Okay, yeah, that kind of wraps me up right there.
All right, thanks, Mr. Brown. Ms. Creighton. Oh, wait, I want to say something. I want to comment on this card. This card is being passed out by one of the candidates that's running from trustee. And I don't have a ticket. I'm not running. Passed out by one of the candidates for trustee. And this card has been passed out for well over 4 years that I know, because I still have some of these cards in my office when some other trustee candidates ran.
No, Mayor, that was when you ran for mayor.
This card was being passed out when y'all ran with me for mayor. Now you want to put it out there that when y'all ran it, this card, it was passed out over the community. This is just another way to help the police if people want to say something and get involved. It's just like anything else. Crime Stoppers, Cook County Crime Stoppers, they pass information out. They're not the police, but people call them to assist the police in handling crimes. So you're telling me any type of assistance that want to help the police solve crimes is not welcome here in this community? Because all the police officers don't know about all the other organizations that take anonymous information. They don't know about all of them. So go ahead, Ms. Creighton.
Good evening, trustees, mayor, and citizens. Mayor, what I'd like to do first is ask my questions, get all my questions out, and then whomever chooses to answer them, please do. But I'd like to first get my questions in the minutes. My first question would be, Mayor, did you give monies back to the village when you purchased your properties? Number one. And then the $2.5 million that we have a deficit of, is that included in the $9 million that we owe to the city of Chicago for the water department? No. And secondly, the $6 million in debt services, how much monies do we get in totality in a year if we're paying out $6 million in debt services? My next question is that the draft up the order for the appeals, January 22nd, first of all, we just gave money away. I understand the horrors, I know them personally, but we just opened up a business. We had a business close. We opened and we closed, and we gave money away because we gave them a, what do you call it, a number 8? Class 8, whatever, Class 8 or 8. We gave that money away. I really don't understand. We say we need money, and we're doing this. I don't get it. I don't get it because let me go on with my next question.
Miss Creighton, okay, I understand. But what I'm saying is, you asking so many questions.
It's okay. I just have everybody realize what it is.
Who's keeping track of all these questions?
Nobody's keeping track. Is it in the minutes?
You lost me in question 2, Mrs. Creighton.
Oh, you're scribing? I lost you in question 2. Forgive me. The question 1. You already got 1.
Ms. Creighton, can we answer them as you give them? Ask them.
Okay. So because you guys are going to go on in a long story.
No, we're not. We want to get out of here like you do.
Okay.
Really. Okay, right. I'm going to answer the first one because I remember that one. You said, Mayor, when you bought your house, did you give any money?
Your properties. I didn't know.
When you bought your property, did you give any money back to the village?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to answer it this way. Yes. When you bought your property, did you give any money back to the village?
No.
Why not?
And only in taxes. See, this is what I'm saying. That I'm asking that question to clarify a point. You're saying that you've said over the board over there that you have, if someone's willing to invest or give us $20,000 for each property, give it back to the village, and then rehab that property for whatever it costs. What I'm saying is that we get the monies back on the licensing, on the building permits, on those things. That's the only reason I asked that to clarify that.
But I'm just saying, Ms. Creighton, if someone buys a house here, do they give money back to the village?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't either. The only money that I gave them, was
on the permits.
Some of the permits that I did, and the transfer stamp.
Right.
They had to pay the transfer stamp fee. And that was it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That was the only clarification I was trying to make, because I don't understand that. But you said, okay, you answered number 1. Number 2, did anybody, Miss Dugan, you say you got number 2? No. Oh, I lost you in number 2.
Yes.
Okay. Under our $2.5 million of debt that we have, is the $9 million, is that $2 million included in the $9 million debt that we owe to the city of Chicago for the water department?
No.
Okay. So we're $2 million short in a budget. We still have the $9 million that we owe to the city of Chicago for water.
Yes.
Okay. Now, my third question is that Trustee Muhammad, you mentioned that we have almost $6 million we pay out in debt services in a year?
Every year, yes.
Every year. What is our income within a year that the village of Dalton receive?
What was that, Ms. Creighton? What was that again?
She's asking the revenue for the
Right. What is our revenue intake for the year? If we pay almost $6 million in debt services.
Somebody else can
It's approximately 18 million, Ms. Creighton.
We receive 18 million in a year, and our debt services are almost 6 million.
Part of that. In other words, the 18 million that we receive
Yes.
via, 18 million that we receive.
Yes, sir.
Is from real estate taxes, fees, the lights, the stickers that you buy over there, the dog tags, violations of ordinances. All that revenue comes up to about $18 million. So with that $18 million, we have to pay the bills.
Right.
There's two types of economics. You got big economics and little
Right.
economics, micro and macro.
Right.
It's similar to your home. If you
Right.
make 18 million a year, you can't spend more than 18 million. If you do more than 18 million, you got to borrow, and that's what we've done. I hope that's the simplest way
No,
I can do it.
that's fine. I'm just trying to understand.
I'm going to say
our debt
something in regards to
services.
that. Our debt service is not totally accurate for this administration.
Mhm.
We're paying debt service on accounts and loans that were made in 2004, 2009. So, to say it accurately, if we didn't have those previous loans, our debt service wouldn't be that much.
But I understand that. I'm just trying to I understand you made it, there was a comment made that it was from previous administration. It's still the bottom line is that if
We have to pay
we
it.
have a $6 million,
Yes.
almost $6 million in debt services,
Yes.
that's $6 million in debt services, plus the $9 million we owe to the city of Chicago for water, plus the $2 million that we're short in budget. We could do a whole lot of police station, picking up the downtown Dalton, putting it back to where it was or even better. That's all I'm trying to understand. And my next question is that, do we still have the business that you stated last meeting that owed us $200,000 in water? Where is the stat? 20,000.
22,000.
Where are we at with those businesses? Have we been able to collect? I think, Mayor, you said that we couldn't get on the property or something.
There's an issue with access.
Okay. We still have that problem?
Yeah, we still have that problem.
Okay.
But the other problem we face now is to correct it with the frozen ground.
Right.
Okay? So
said something about the
we're looking to move on that in the spring.
Okay.
Because it's a major project. We have to cut off a major water main and reroute the direction of that water that's going in there to be able to cut them off.
I thought he said earlier today.
Stacy said they shut it off.
It was off.
I'm not sure. Did you get it
He
off,
said
Matt?
it was off.
Oh, that's
Okay, all right.
that's a conversation. Okay, because you know what, and then Trustee Mohammed, from the finance meeting information, there was no more on the desk, so I would appreciate getting a copy of it. Even though you said I can get it online, I'd like a hard copy in my hands, in my possessions. And you know what, you guys, I understand that people are running for office. I do. I appreciate that, because that's the democratic process. My neighbors are afraid to do some things or say things because they're afraid of retaliation.
Yes.
If they don't put the right person's sign or literature in their yards. I say, give it all. When they go into that voting place, the voters will decide who they want to be in the position. I know that politics is not clean, but I do know that if you put out anything, you know what, we don't all have to agree with each other, but we should all respect each other. I feel that every individual, as the attorney stated, if you are any elected official, you have the right to question and to talk about anything. Attorney Murphy, did I misquote you in any way?
First Amendment.
You said it better than I did.
All right.
But those are the things that I'm concerned about. And can we look at giving away the Class 8s? We have to be consistent, you guys. We have to be consistent in giving those out. We have no monies. let me ask, my final question is to Trustee Mohammed. Are we still in a deficit state of meeting a budget as was told to us, you guys told us last year? This is 2019.
This village has carried a deficit since, and like I said, I can go back to 2013 because that's my first association with it. And not to blame any administration, any past administration that's dead.
I'm not
They're
trying to
dead
blame
and gone.
anybody.
But that's not what it's about, even though it's turned into that. The facts are this. I carry this with me at all times, and I will bring it to the forum this weekend and that other so-called forum at the pizza joint that they're supposed to have also. I'm going to bring this because these are the actual facts. Whether it was a bond from 2004, 2009, and we're saddled with it, we have to pay it. I just talked to this Caspera group today and said, you know, you all will be responsible for this new budget. There will be no political influence on this third party that's doing our budget. They said they have to go over every line item to make sure every number is accurate.
Okay.
They have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And then they can tell us whether or not they can eliminate that $2.5 million deficit, because that's my question.
Okay.
They know that there's a lot of money out there that belongs to us. Trustee Henyard kind of brought it up when she talked about water cutoffs. The payment center, it's abysmal, the condition that department is in. That collects money, not only for water, but from other departments. It needs to be rehauled. There's an infrastructure problem in the village of Dalton that has to be corrected in order for us to say what this budget is going to be. They could not commit to me, the Caspera group, what type of deficit that we'll have once they go through these numbers. And that was today's conversation. And I hope I'm answering your question.
Yes, sir. Where are we at with Melanie's?
Okay,
we just realized that there was a pipe busted. I understand.
You said that was your last question.
I understand. I apologize, but
And
you all
it's well
let
over 3 minutes.
You let individuals speak more than their 3 minutes. I just asked.
What you want to know about the Melanie Center?
Where are we at with the status of Melanie's? Remember the recipients, they said that they're still paying their monies being deducted from their accounts.
Okay.
And has the Melanie's, what status is it at? Are we prepared?
Still in the same status. We are, I don't know if it's been before this board to approve. I think they did send emails back and forth to approve the finishing of the pool. Okay. I think that came in about 40,000.
Okay.
So that's where it's at.
And the fire station. Well, I don't. People can get upset with me, but the fire station is what I've asked about.
Ms. Creighton, we've answered that on several occasions. So please.
Well, have we gone in and approved the repairs, Mayor? You say you were checking into it, or somebody bring you estimates?
I had somebody to repair it, and at no cost. And the board decided, the Trustee Pearson decided they want to put it out for, I wasn't doing it fast enough, I guess. They wanted to put it out for RFP. I told them we could have had it done by the end of February, but I guess that wasn't good enough, so.
Not true.
Okay.
Okay, all right, fine.
Thank you.
I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second, can I get a second? Trustee? Okay, this has been motion to adjourn this meeting. We got a first and second on the roll call.
Trustee Mohammed?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Henyard?
Aye.
Motion carries. I just want to say one thing. There is a forum, a candidate forum being held at Senator Harris's Beggar's Pizza Thursday night. What time was that? It's 6 o'clock. Thursday night, 6 o'clock, Beggar's Pizza in Harvey. And the moderator will be Senator Harris. And lastly, our new recorder of deeds, Ed Moody, will be at Coffee with the Mayor this Saturday. He's a new recorder of deeds. Thank you.
Pizza joint.